What's up?
Hi, everybody.
What's up, guys?
Happy Sunday. How's
It's
everyone
Derek.
doing? And Eliz.
From Means to Trip.
Oh, man. Your voice, like, went down a little bit when you said that.
This is my...
You're like, what's up? Then you're like, it's Derek.
This is my news radio voice. Smooth XM.
Yeah. Ooh. Silky.
Silky smooth.
Hello to Mark Smith, Thomas Reiser, Ronnie Dove, and Lori Sims. Welcome to you guys. Well, let me just make sure. Yep, that's open all the way. Hope everybody's having a great holiday weekend, because I think all of you all, at least that have said hi already, are in America. And we've done a ton of holiday shopping online.
He has.
And by we, it's me. But I don't know if all of you guys have been doing that too. I mean, I always do that for the most part. Like, I don't really go to stores on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or, you know, that sort of thing, that weekend. But this year's been, like, extra on that front. Hello to Mary Ellen Dillon and Katie Smith as well. Mark Smith. I don't know if you're related to Katie Smith or not, by the way, or if you guys, obviously that's a very common last name, but Mark Smith says a couple questions right off the bat that we are happy to answer, and certainly can.
It's so weird being on this side of you.
I know. Oh, yeah, we switched sides, guys. How's it looking? We switched sides. Okay, well, Mark, we're going to get to your question in just a second, but we'll explain, because Derek has to tend to a fire.
Yep. So, in our current Airbnb here in Port Ree in the Isle of Skye, we have a fireplace. It's kind of like one of those like cast iron ovens that is used to actually heat the main floor. So we have to keep it burning in order for it to stay warm, and she gets cold real easily. So I'm over here so I can like zip away and go stoke that fire.
Here, now you're more in the frame too. That's good stuff.
Nice.
Wow,
some harsh lighting.
Yeah. The overhead
so it's like the bags under my eyes look like.
The overhead
guys,
light's
I sleep
like
a lot these days.
Unavoidable in terms of, it's like this big pendant light right above the table that we
here.
Have to sit. It's here. You look great, babe.
Thanks.
All right, so we are in the Isle of Skye, and that is not part of the North Coast 500 because we
are done with the North Coast 500.
We are done, and we are adding an extension to the North Coast 500. Or we're extending our trip past the North Coast 500 into the Isle of Skye. So we're super excited because I know a lot of you guys have visited Skye, or want to because it's one of the top destinations in Scotland. So we can talk about that. But let's answer Mark Smith's question, because let's not beating around the bush on that one.
So Mark is saying, what is the current lockdown situation in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland? And what testing or quarantine requirements for both in and out of the UK?
Yeah. So current, as of today, and that is how we'll answer it first, and then we'll answer it as of the end of this week, which is when it will be different. So
I think we should, let's not confuse people. Let's just go straight into what it's going to be, right?
Well, he's at,
Okay.
We're here to help. So, current. So, we are in Scotland, where there's a tier system that operates.
Tiers 0 through 4, so there's 5 tiers. 0 is normal.
Yeah.
Nobody has tier 0. And then tier 4 is lockdown.
Correct. So, a lot of the bigger cities here, Glasgow and Edinburgh, are in like really, really high tiers. So we've been avoiding those big cities while we're here. Stayed only in tiers 2
1 and
or
2.
3. No, sorry, 1 and 2. Sorry, it's confusing because it's the 0 through 4. But yes, we're currently in the Highlands, which is tier 1. And we've been pretty much sitting pretty in the Highlands for weeks now on that front, just to make sure we maintain that distance.
Yeah, I mean, those who have been, on these for the last few weeks, I mean, pretty much since we entered Scotland almost, we've been in tier 1 areas.
Yeah. So then England is in a full lockdown right now.
Which ends December the 2nd.
Correct.
Which we believe means actually you can go there on the 3rd, so I think it's like through the 2nd is the lockdown. or at least that's what it seems to be, since going through and trying to book things, everything becomes available on the 3rd. So.
Yeah. So as soon as the 3rd happens and beyond, they are transitioning into something very similar to what Scotland's currently in, that tier system. I think they're doing it a little bit differently because they wanted to, and
they need that English flavor.
Everybody needs to be a little different. But what's nifty is that 2 places that we've already been to in England, that we went to with purpose. We went to because the COVID numbers were quite low there then. Those 2 places are going to be
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
Which is their lowest tier, and there's only 2 places that have Tier 1. That's the Isle of Wight, which is just off the coast from Portsmouth. And we did a day trip down to there. It was really nice. And then the other place is Cornwall, where we spent about 8 days after we left Portsmouth. Yeah, and so Tier 2 is what we would likely go into, like when we have to fly from Heathrow, for example. So starting, on December 3rd, London and the surrounding areas are going to be in Tier 2, which means you can visit. You just need to practice precautions. And there are certain cities that I was really delighted to see, such as Liverpool, that were in a very, very high tier when they used to have a tier system before entering just the nationwide lockdown, that have now been reduced down to a lower tier. So that was nice to see that there's progress being made and not everybody's just going back to where they were. Then Wales. So Wales was due to come out of its lockdown, which it kind of did, but as travelers, they don't want you coming in and they don't want their people going out. So basically it's like... You can travel within Wales if you're already in Wales, but they don't want you leaving Wales and they don't want people coming in. So we can't go there. That was like high on our list. We really wanted to go back to Wales. Unfortunately, they said that you need a very compelling reason to enter Wales. Otherwise, you are technically in breach. So we will not be heading there because I don't think us just saying like, but it's so pretty. I don't think that's like
no, they don't want us.
That's not a good reason to go. So we're not going to make it there. And the same thing with Northern Ireland, I believe, is under a basically lockdown. So my understanding, and if Mo's on, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were like the first to go into lockdown, and it was kind of nationwide. They dabbled, I think, with tiers for a hot second as well, but dabbled. They dabbled with tears. Like almost a little bit of Chicago accent came through there. It came. But anyway, so just trying to get my information out. They're back in a lockdown is kind of the moral of that story. Oh yeah, which is unfortunate. Yeah. So currently, what testing or quarantine requirements in both in and out of the UK? So coming into the UK, there is a quarantine that you need to do. It was a 14-day quarantine, but I believe now it's either a 14-day quarantine or you can do a test on the 5th day or so. I don't know if that actually started yet. Has that not started yet? It's been announced. It's been announced that there's going to be a program for travelers to do basically a 5-day quarantine and then take a test, and that way, once it comes back negative, they can then end their quarantine early. So instead of a 14-day quarantine, maybe it's a 7-day quarantine, depending on how long it takes to get your test back. However, it has been said that they don't want this to be something that stresses the resources of NHS. So what they've said is that you can't do it through NHS. You have to go to a private testing facility, and you have to pay for it. So it could be anything from £100 to £150 or something like that to go get this test, which even at the high end, even if it's 150, 200 pounds, that's probably a lot better than spending those extra days on hotels or accommodations that you're not actually exploring. We would think that way at least. I would definitely do it. I guess if you're staying with family for an extended period, it doesn't matter as much. But yeah, and then coming back to the U.S., there's not really any formal requirements that we need. We will be undertaking a quarantine when we do return, though. We'll be with my family in Indiana, so we want to make sure that we're not spreading anything. Yeah. So we are going to do a quarantine probably for 5 days, then go get a test, and hopefully be able to leave quarantine after that point. Yeah, we'll see. What's happening
Is that something outside?
Yeah, stuff outside.
Okay.
I'm just gonna close the windows.
Yeah.
So people like creeping in.
It's getting dark here, guys. It's 4:10. It's like after sunset. And people might be looking at us. We don't want that.
Thoroughly in the blue hour.
So I hopefully answered your question thoroughly. If you have more, we're here. Thomas Reiser's here. He's filling us in a lot of the time. He's been on it with texting us different updates. So we've been able to keep up to date.
However, what are we drinking today? In my attempt to be local, I'm having Skye Brewery. It's a red. I'm assuming this is like an amber ale kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm excited. It says, majoring on malt, nuttiness, and fruit with just the right amount of hops. Our first ever ale and an award winner too.
So we went to the grocery store and Derek picked up like a case, a variety pack.
It's a variety pack.
There you go, variety pack.
There's a red, there's a black, there's a blonde.
Yeah.
There's a Slaven, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try them all.
But is there a squeaky chair?
Nope, not this time.
Hi Sue, welcome.
This
That's
is
really funny.
This is some high quality Scottish crafts.
We got like
chairs.
some dining chairs.
Nice looking ale.
Okay. So
have we said hi to people yet?
We've said hi to a few, but
so
I want to
Mark
keep
Smith,
saying hi.
Thomas Reiser, Ronnie Dove, Lori Sims, Mary Ellen Dillon. Hello everyone. Katie Smith, what's up? Scorpio Sue, hello, good afternoon.
Nick Peterson's on, traveling with Nick P.
Nick P, what is up, buddy?
Troy Stansel, welcome.
Troy,
Roger
hello,
Sexton's on. Oop, then there's a jump. Hold on. Jumpity jump. Okay,
Julie Good.
Welcome.
Julia Dagnese.
Welcome, Julia.
Paul Tipton.
Hi, Paul Tipton.
Yes, we have swapped places. I'm actually Eliz. Freaky Friday.
I know. I feel like we've literally never done this.
No, it feels odd.
I
don't like it.
I always sit on that side.
Feels not natural.
But otherwise, Derek would just be like.
Because I'm a lefty, and so
yeah,
that's
actually why we, for the most part, sit the way that we sit. Cause
and then she's a righty, and she's like this, and I'm like this, and then we're just.
We're just used to, like, when we sit at dining tables and stuff, we always have Derek sit on the left side of me, so that way we're not bumping each other when we're, using cutlery.
Chris Frank, or Franke.
Hello, Chris. Welcome,
What's
Alan
up?
A. Hello. Tell us about the flat tire. We will. So, guys, guess what? If you didn't know,
we've now ridden in tow trucks 3 times in Scotland.
3.
On this trip.
3 times.
Trace.
But all right, I'm gonna lead with this. Our third tow truck driver used to be a driver for Rick Steves Tours, and we were like, how did we luck out on this one?
I was like, Eliz, we're lucky that we got a flat tire.
We got
we got to meet this guy.
We
awesome.
basically got a tour of the area.
Yeah, that's right. Our tow truck drivers, at least here in Scotland, or at least up here in the Highlands, have been pretty interesting fellows.
Yeah, they have. Glenn Camp, welcome. Ruth
up,
Armstrong,
Glenn?
welcome. Guys, I'm sorry if I've missed saying hi to anybody. We've just been scrolling around, but we're backing up now to answer more questions. If you have more questions, shout them out.
Shout 'em.
Loved Mark Smith's questions from the get-go. And we can answer UK ones. We can answer questions about several other countries that we've been to.
Yep.
But let's talk about holiday travel, whatever you want.
Yeah. Let's roll through some of these, though.
Yeah. So we've answered the question about the squeaky chair.
Thomas Reiser, Christmas cards should be waiting on your
Great.
Very
cool.
We're
excited.
We like getting those.
I also get an email every morning with like a scanned picture of the mail that we receive. So I'll have to check with the email this morning to see if I've gotten that one today.
Yeah. So Nick P says that he's about to relocate to Wisconsin for about a week for work, leaving today. Good luck with that. And did we ever find sausage roll crisps?
Yeah, so I think
not.
Nick's going to Wisconsin for like a month to work there, and I'm
It says
assuming
for
it's
at least a week.
oh, for at least a week. To work, is it for the postal service? And by the way, I just want to shout out Nick, as he works for the postal service, and also shout out the Royal Mail, because the Royal Mail.
We see them everywhere on like the craziest roads. So I mean,
I don't know how they do it. It's like, I'm terrified just riding in the car on some of these roads, as I should be, because you can get flat tires, and we will tell you about that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are delivering packages and mail to the most rural spots on the trickiest roads. So,
although now we know tow trucks will also go on those crazy roads.
They will.
And thank God. So we'll talk about that. So, Christmas, okay, morning y'all from Troy.
Roger asks how long we're going to be in Port Reed.
Port Reed, we leave, we're here tonight, we're here tomorrow night.
Yeah, and we've been here, I think it's 4 nights total.
Yeah, 4 nights in Port Reed, in Skye. And yesterday was really cool. We went to the ferry pools, which was pretty neat.
Yep. Yeah,
we
hadn't
been. As well
been.
as Slaganak, Slaganchan, Slagachan.
That's definitely not it, but sure, let's go with that.
Slagachan?
I'm not gonna pretend like I know any better. But,
I don't know. There's a cool old bridge there, though.
Yeah,
it's pretty
beautiful.
neat. It's by the Coolin Mountains.
And
really
then
nice.
tomorrow we're heading north of Port Reed. And we're going to be exploring the north side of Isle of Skye, and I'm really hoping to see that waterfall, because that is so famous, that comes off the edge of the cliff and into the ocean and stuff. Because we didn't get to see it last time we were here. We were here 2 years ago. We went to the Fairy Glen and a couple
Which
other
we will
spots.
try to hit again, because the Fairy Glen is just a magical place.
Yeah.
And the fairy pools yesterday were pretty neat. If you've not seen it, it's basically a series of waterfalls that, because of the mineral composition of the local rocks, give the pools of water that they've carved out kind of this emerald green, blue turquoise type color, which is pretty striking.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
The only thing is, the hike to that is, it's not hard, but it's not easy. And there's definitely a lot of...
If you have mobility issues, it'll be very, very difficult, challenging, maybe not doable, but anybody who's...
Or even balance issues
fit,
and stuff.
Anybody, though, who doesn't have a mobility issue and has a reasonable level of fitness, it should be pretty doable.
Yeah, because we were in our Merrill shoes, the ones that match, because we're that couple. And... both of us were kind of slipping. Like, even the grips on those shoes were a little bit questionable.
Well, I mean, and that's something that I will say about those Merrill shoes that we do have. For what they are, they're great. They do not get the best traction. So if it comes to, like, slick conditions, they can be a little dire. I did fall at the fairy pools once. I slid down. Luckily, I wasn't near a cliff or anything. And I almost bit it multiple times.
Yeah,
she
fell,
did too, almost.
And his butt just like kind of hit a rock behind him. Yeah. Like he just kind of like sat.
I sat down quickly.
Yeah,
let's
too
just
quick.
Go, let's just go there.
And he wasn't
accelerated sitting.
He was not meaning to sit.
Yes.
Also, you hurt yourself today too. So
I scalded myself today.
Yeah.
So with this fire, you'd think that I'd burn myself with the fire, because I've just been like playing with the fire all day. Because I mean, why not? And instead, I burnt myself like boiling water. Yeah. Scalded my foot.
He accidentally was making pasta, and some of the boiling water fell on his foot, and I was like.
So be careful when you're making pasta. If any of it sticks to the bottom, don't really like get in there, because you might accidentally pull some water on top of you.
No bueno.
No fun.
So that's how long we're in Port Reed. We're like totally open to anybody's suggestions about things to do, see, and eat in Isle of Skye, especially the northern side, because that's where we're heading. We are pretty much cooking most of all of our meals ourselves.
Yep.
So we, just be like snack recommendations, and we stopped at a cafe. I think it was called Donald John's Cafe.
Donald John's.
And it was
It's expensive.
It was expensive, but
Good
the
mocha.
mocha was super good, and the bathrooms were super clean.
Yeah, very clean, very
so
nice.
I was, and like very good at socially distancing all the tables, so I was pleased.
And the people working there were really nice, and they were giving us all this like information. The problem was they were behind plexiglass, there were masks, and there was very loud like white noise from machines going on. So I was doing a lot of nodding, but I wasn't hearing a lot of stuff. So I think I got the gist of what they were telling me, but.
Yeah.
No, I basically asked them, I was like, well, is there anything up here that you'd recommend we don't miss alongside, like, the ferry pools? And the lady goes, no. Which was, like, the short answer, and then she gave me a longer answer, and I was like, well, I understood no, so that's good.
Right.
Jeez. All right.
Okay, so let's tell the story about the flat tire.
Okay, so...
So there we were, on the North Coast 500.
All right, so I'm the driver, so it's my fault. But we were driving. It was basically our last day of driving the North Coast 500, and we were staying over at a place called the Torridon in the Torridon Stables, which is a super nice hotel, really cool. So we like started out the day.
I have another story about the Torridon to tell you guys after.
Yeah. We started the day strong on like a good breakfast. We had electricity. We were going and like running on all cylinders. We decided to go do a drive, and we wanted to do like the kind of the craziest drive. So like the hardest or most iconic drive, I guess, of the North Coast 500, which is across the Applecross Peninsula. And we made it to Applecross. We had lunch, and then we left Applecross and started the most meandering of the roads. And this is the road that if you see where it's just like kind of goes into this gully, and it's just like a ribbon of like winding road at like crazy sharp turns and everything. We were just getting up to the top of that to then like maybe start the way down. We were pretty close to starting our way down when suddenly I got a flat tire. So the thing about this road is that this road is actually really in rough shape. It was the worst road we've driven on in terms of potholes.
Yeah, the particular peninsula, the Applecross Peninsula, which is like that last, most southwestern part of the North Coast 500, the roads are horrible compared to the rest of the trip.
Yeah, and so much so that even like the sides of the road are crumbling a bit.
Yeah.
So I did an okay job trying to avoid potholes. The problem was that I must have been hugging the left-hand side of the road a bit, and the side of the road then kind of like had crumbled away. So it's not like it was off of a cliff and then you like fall off or anything, but it was where it had a very sharp drop. And so what ended up happening was my back left tire came off slightly, and it ended up popping the tire. And, you know, it of course happened right as we were entering a cloud, or like we had probably entered a cloud like few hundred yards prior to this.
Because we were at a very high elevation, kind of like towards the top of a mountain.
Yep. And so what ended up happening was that, you know, I pulled over because I could just feel that something was off with the car and everything. You kind of hear that noise, and you kind of have that dread of like, oh no. And so I pulled over onto like a passing place that had a bunch of room to spare, so that I felt safe. Got out, looked, and the tire was shot.
Yeah. And so we always say, like, don't pull over into a passing place because it's so unsafe.
But luckily, like, this peninsula...
But this particular one was longer.
Well, it was much longer, and it was deeper, or like wider. It went further off. So that was good. So we were able to pull off and really feel like, okay, nobody's going to like clip us on accident coming by.
Yeah. And thank goodness we had some sort of traveled good juju, because the entire west side of the North Coast 500, I mean, you get cell phone service very sparingly.
Yeah.
And thank goodness this one particular place where Derek pulled over, we had enough service to make phone calls.
Yep. So we called first the roadside assistance so that they could get a tow truck out to us. And then we called Eliz's parents and gave them our coordinates just in case. Yeah. We're like, you know...
It also was Thanksgiving Day, so like we had to call them anyway. So.
Well, yeah, we were calling the family anyway, so like, you know, of course the first reaction when this happens is like, oh God, oh no. And then the second one was like, well, I mean, we have cell service, so like, let's call family, let's get that out of the way. So hopefully we can still make our dinner reservations, you know? And so we ended up calling her family, called my family, kind of let them know what was happening to us, got a little bit of that, you know, hey guys, this sucks, just cheer us up, and yeah, it was nice. But yeah, no, it was, you know, one of those things that, you know, it happens. You go on a long road trip, which we've driven thousands of miles at this point.
And the rental car companies don't give you
spare
tires anymore, I guess.
And so, you know, but again, if you're on a road trip where you're going thousands of miles and all this stuff, you're going to run into issues.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just need to take a deep breath and say, okay, it could have been worse. Let's just figure out what we have to get done and move on from there.
So the reason why
it's all good.
We had 2 tow trucks is because, so when we called the nearest tow truck place was, I would say, probably 45 minutes from where we were.
30 minutes ish. Let's call it 30 to 40 minutes.
So anyway, so they come and they collect us, and as soon as he was able to get enough service further down the mountain to understand if they had a tire in stock to change, you know, the tire that we needed, he realized that they did not. And so so he was like, okay, well, I think it was around like a little bit before 4 p.m.
It was late enough that we couldn't go to like a rental car center to like get a tire fixed and whatnot.
Because they close.
Well, the nearest one was Inverness, so that would have been a very far drive, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it was like, okay, I can take you to Inverness. The place will be closed, and then you'll be stuck in Inverness with no car, no hotel or anything.
Or any of our stuff.
Or any of our stuff. And we're like, well, that's obviously not going to happen.
Yeah,
that's not okay. So what he ended up doing was, you know, he took us back to our hotel, and he's like, listen, wake up tomorrow, have a nice breakfast, then call in again, and they'll have us come out and get you again and take you to our store.
And in the meantime, he was ordering the correct size spare tire to arrive the next morning in time to help. So we get to our hotel. We get to have a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner, which wasn't actually Thanksgiving food. It was what we thought was the most American-sounding food on the menu.
We got mac and cheese, and we got
steak.
A ribeye steak.
And then for dessert, we had a hot fudge sundae.
She wanted the hot fudge sundae, and it came, and it was
so good.
Decadent.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So, I mean, like, we were thankful for that meal. That was awesome. And by then, we were like, we're just glad to be, you know, at the hotel.
Yep. So fast forward, next day, a guy comes and picks us up. It all went off without a hitch after that, right? The guy came at probably 11 a.m., picked us up with the car. Yeah. Coming to Port Rhea, actually, like, the tow truck place was on the way, so it's not like we were having to backtrack or anything weird like that. And we learned the guy used to be used to be a tour bus driver for Rick Steves, which we're like, that's pretty cool. And we're like, have you met Rick Steves? He's like, yeah, he actually went on one of my tours once and all this stuff. And we're like, this is amazing. You know, it's like, Eliz was like pseudo starstruck. She's like, oh no, it's like from 1 degree of separation now.
No. Well, I've met Rick Steves in person at conferences. Very briefly. But yeah, no, it was fun to just hear his knowledge about the area too. And I was asking all these questions, and he seemed really eager to talk. Like, not eager, but he was, you know, happy to talk to us about stuff. Because there's other people that probably would just be like, can we not talk right now? So the fact that we were with somebody so sociable and knowledgeable about the area was just like such a bonus.
I mean, and that's been the thing though, is that, like, I feel like all of our tow truck drivers have been, sad that I have to say that, all of our tow truck drivers have been so personable. But the guy who picked us up the day before was from, you know, he was in the military before, and so he was telling us all these stories about him, like, reclaiming different types of vehicles, and he told us...
Derek asked what's the craziest thing that you've ever had to tow.
Yeah, like, what's the craziest thing you've ever had to tow? He's like,
I think he said tanks, and then he said...
Helicopters.
It was so sad. He had to pick up somebody who...
Their, like, electric scooter.
Their electric scooter or something like that.
Like, their mobility scooter. But no, he was telling us, though, then a story of one of their guys at the shop who, his very first day driving... His very first day employed there, his first pickup was a 100,000-pound Lamborghini, and he said that it was like the most nerve-wracked this guy's ever been because he picks up this like $100,000 Lamborghini in the tow truck and he's got the owner there with him, like, do not crash.
Yeah, and this is not an easy road.
No.
Like, a tow truck basically has to go down a mountain and swerve all at the same time. So, I would have been nervous too. But basically, like, the driver was saying, you know, the worst cars to take on the NC500 are the sports cars that, like, look coolest in photos. But he said, especially on that stretch of the road,
they're like shallow. They're shallow tires, so they actually do really poorly on potholes. And so they said they get a ton of car pickups. Yeah. And in fact, it's so common. Like, there's so many pickups that happen, and I didn't recognize this until we got there, but like they employ a pretty good number of people at this garage. 6 guys who drive the tow trucks, and they had to work. They work from every single day. March to October every single day. Yeah, no days off. They pick up somebody on the North Coast 500 in that stretch. Like, that's how bad the road is. So we're like, I guess we're not alone. Because the whole thing was like, please fix the road. I don't know. Well, that's the issue, right? Is that these roads were actually like designed and put in place well before the NC500 was a thing. Yeah. The NC500 as a route to drive and popularity and all that stuff only happened in like 2014. Yeah. And so all these roads predate that quite a bit, and they weren't designed for this level of traffic. Yeah. Not even almost. So they just get used and abused all summer long, spring, summer, fall, and you know, they're so small that to fix them, you almost have to shut them down. So it becomes very tough for them to patch. And these roads are like, I mean, there's so few roads in this area that they're such a lifeline to the people that actually live there. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I can see why it's so tricky. And, you know, we learned a lot of takeaways from that we're hoping to pass along to you guys in case you're ever considering to do that. I mean, there's tons of people that this doesn't happen to as well. We just happen to have issues in that one stretch. Yeah, so Roger Sexton says, not all of the south of England is Tier 2. The whole of Kent is Tier 3. Yeah, we'd actually seen that when we were looking at the map, that Kent got put into Tier 3, which is unfortunate. We really enjoyed being in Kent when we went there. Yeah, we were actually sad to see that because we would have wanted to go back potentially. Yeah. We can share with you guys kind of what we're planning in the next week. This is kind of our last week in the UK. We have one more live stream from the UK. Yeah, one more live stream from the UK. After this one. Nick P. misses the Emerald Isle. Yeah. Makes sense. I've never been, but it makes sense. Ellen A. is letting everyone know that Skye's sunset was at 3:40 p.m. today. Yeah, it's getting short. Glenn, what's up? Okay, Chicago news. First bit of Pfizer vaccine landed in Chicago yesterday. No news on how much, for who, or when it can go out, but it's here. Nice. Hopefully it'll be available to all you Chicagoans soon. Q's Cruisers, what's up? Hello. Cruisers, Kim welcome. M, nice to see you as Kim. Well. Paul Tipton, are you able to get out and about much with the current UK lockdown and mostly Tier 2 coming soon? So we're actually in Tier 1. We're in Scotland right now, right? So Scotland's not under a lockdown currently. They're in their tier system. And we are in Tier 1. Yeah, and the restaurants are open here. Yep. Of course, with guidelines in place for distancing, mask wearing, and we're all for that. Yep. Hotels are open here. So it's one of those things where I feel like we're experiencing a little bit more than probably everybody else in the UK is. But we're really glad to be in a place that we can go to these outdoor fairy pools, Fairy Glen, the waterfall here, and just see so much. Oh, yeah. Nick P., it's for the USPS. Yeah. Says it'll be interesting delivering in a city that he's never been to. I bet. Oh, I think it's pronounced Eau Claire? I can't speak. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. I can hear it in my head, but my French is not good. Iggy, welcome. Hello from Torre Don Jimeno. I always get tongue-tied on that one, too. I feel like he just writes it every time now. Just to make us say it.
It's because I can't roll my R's.
Just to see
10 years of Spanish, and I can't roll my R's still.
See how it comes out this time.
Hope you're having fun. Do you find that the extremely short days regarding the sunlight affects people's mood or attitude? It definitely affects how much we can do in a day. So that's the biggest effect for a traveler is you have to be, up and like ready to go at sunrise in order to kind of get a full day's worth in. Otherwise, like some days we haven't gotten out the door until 11 a.m. and it's like, okay, so we have 4 hours until we have to start heading home. And that just doesn't feel good. When it comes to interacting with other people, it seems like most people are pretty used to it here. And because we're with almost all locals, like that's probably the case, is that they're just used to it. But like even when we were in Ullapool and we broadcast from Ullapool last week, we were close to a school. Our bed and breakfast was close to a school, and kids would leave school like when it was basically dark. It was just so weird to see. Kids would be commuting like at sunrise to school and then be going home when it's dark. It's like, oh, they're missing all the daylight.
Yeah, but they had recess.
They had recess.
We heard recess.
We heard recess. We didn't go check out the school, but you could hear it.
So, Thomas Reiser, have you figured out how you're getting to Heathrow? Yes. So, our tentative plan right now, Thomas, is that we are going to, not tentative, I mean, we started booking stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to leave
it's
here.
kind of tentative because we've booked everything on the Scotland side of it, and then we booked our airport hotel.
Yeah, so we can enter England on the 3rd, right? So, what we're doing is we're going to leave here and we're going to go down to Oban. We're going to do one night in Oban before going down to Moffat, Scotland, where we had our first tow truck experience. Hopefully we won't repeat that. And we are going to go down there and actually stay at the same place we stayed at last time. And that's like pretty close to the border. Then from there, we're going to drive over to York, because York will be in Tier 2 in England. And we'll stay in York for 2 nights before we head down to
So
Heathrow
York
for 2
is the
nights.
one that we're leaving open right now, on the off chance that like they announce that the lockdown is getting extended or something like that.
I don't see that happening, but if there's a surprise in the bad direction, we didn't want to have like a non-refundable, because we'll probably do a Airbnb there, so we have access to like laundry services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that is what we're doing in terms of getting down to Heathrow, because then it's like a 2.5 hour drive, I think, from York down to Heathrow, and we'll 2.5 or 3.5.
But both of us have always wanted to go to York. We've also both wanted to go to Hadrian's Wall, and unfortunately, that's in the highest tier.
It's in Northumberland,
so we are pretty bummed about that. But luckily, York is not. And you guys know us; like we stay really safe no matter what, and we avoid interacting with people unnecessarily. So. I think we're just a little bummed because obviously Hadrian's Wall is like an outdoor thing to do. So.
Oh well. So gotta have a reason to come back, guys.
Yeah.
Did we find Nessie in Loch Ness? No, but we did.
So in Inverness, we went to this one park.
They have some islands in the middle of the river.
In the River Ness, and I don't know if an artist had done this or like somehow it was kind of commissioned by the city, but there was a fallen tree in the park that fell kind of like into from one of the islands into the water, and they had painted and carved the tree, the fallen tree in such a way that it looked like the Loch Ness monster coming out of the river, and I was like, this is the coolest thing.
So we're like, we found Nessie.
Who sees I love art and like that kind of thing. And I'm like, who just looks at a fallen tree and is like, I'm going to turn this into the Loch Ness monster? And I was just it was so cool. John Socha, welcome. What is your favorite internet resource that you use to plan our trips?
Whoa, first Paul Tipton.
What?
Nessie had to go into lockdown.
Oh. Nailed it, Paul.
Dang it, Paul. That's so good. Dang. That is
funny.
like dad quality.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, John Socha. I don't think he's.
Hi, John.
I don't think he's ever been on
Welcome,
here before.
John. Welcome.
Okay, so what internet resources do we use? So, we're planning this trip in a different way.
Trip activities and accommodations.
Yeah. We're planning this in a different way than we've ever done before because we do everything very, very last minute, and usually I recommend doing things in advance. But we're doing it last minute because of the nature of needing to be flexible right now. So I'm going to answer this question in terms of like this particular trip versus how we normally would. So we've been using our English Heritage and Scottish National Trust passes that we purchased at the beginning of the trip in order to find a lot of activities that are outdoor. And because we paid for the membership, we can kind of just show up and book a time and just do all these cool historic things around the nation. So we've just looked at those websites and the maps that they have about what's in the area, basically, and said, okay, there's a lot of cool stuff to do with that. Then with the North Coast 500, we leveraged a lot of YouTube resources, and then we actually purchased a physical book in the Inverness the Inverness Tourist Information Center to augment that.
Well, plus I had used so for the NC 500 in particular, I used this one couple that has a blog called Independent Travel Cats, which has a really good 7-day itinerary that kind of does the counterclockwise direction, which is what we were doing. So I use them pretty much as like they've driven the NC 500 multiple times. Like they've done this. They've stayed at multiple of the locations that they talk about and whatnot. So, or at least like multiple of the different like accommodations that they recommend.
Yeah.
So we I don't think we ever stayed at any of the accommodations with the exception of the Torridon that they recommended. But using that as like a guideline for what to do on different days, and had a very good overview of points of interest along the route that might be of interest to you. So we use that pretty extensively.
For accommodations, we've used Airbnb like reviews because we've tried to lean towards Airbnbs a little bit more just from a avoiding other people perspective and like a money saving thing if we're at a place for a long time. If we're going to be at a place for a few days or like just a couple days or less, we often will just cross-reference on TripAdvisor. And I know TripAdvisor isn't great for every destination, but in the UK, I feel like people are extremely active on it. And, just you can read through the different reviews. And there's going to be some people that are like, for example, at one of the places that I was looking at today, somebody wrote like, I couldn't open the window, 1 star. And it's like, okay, that's not helpful. But so you have to kind of, figure your way through some of the reviews that are a little bit extreme. But beyond that, I feel like it's still a good resource for destinations in the UK.
I mean, I'd say that for me, for trying to plan accommodations is one thing. I mean, Airbnb is kind of one of our go-tos for, finding like self-catering accommodations.
Yeah, we've tried VRBO a lot, and we just aren't finding the number of options like we do with Airbnb here.
But so we use that. We use hotels.com as another route that we really enjoy. Obviously, if it's like a Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, one of those that we have a rewards thing, we'll actually go straight through that way, so we get the points and all that.
And for some of those, we also get like special, because we're part of the
perks and stuff based on status.
You might get like upgrades, or you there's always like discounts if you're a member.
Yeah, but regardless of that, it's also better if you had to cancel anything.
Yeah.
You're not trying to cancel through hotels.com or booking.com. You're going like straight through them. They can help you out a little bit more, which is always nice. So, you okay there?
It just like splashed into my nose a little bit.
Ew.
I thought it was gross too. Silly cider.
Yeah, so that's for things to do here specifically. Yeah, the English Heritage thing, where we're like trying to get the most bang for our buck on that. That's been a huge thing because we're like,
We've
love
saved
history. We
so
love all that
much
stuff.
money.
Yeah, we love all that stuff. So we're like, let's
Yeah.
just go English heritage all the way.
It's like, oh, why would I not want to go see a castle?
And it also has like ancillary benefits of like half off if you then go to Wales or Scotland or whatever, and you do the, affiliated program through them, right? You can get half off entrance fees, which is also really nice. We used that when we went to what's that castle on Loch Ness?
Urquhart Castle.
Yeah, Urquhart Castle, which is totally not how it's probably supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah.
But yeah, Urquhart Castle we got in for like half off because of that, which is really neat. So we like that. But I will say that what I'll do a lot of times if it's like natural beauty or whatever, is I will also go to a location, I will look on Instagram, and I will see what's the most Instagram stuff because it usually means it's pretty, and I like taking pictures of pretty things, so I'll do that quite a bit. And here in the UK, a great resource is the Visit fill in the blank. So if you're in England, it's, there's Visit England, but then there's also Visit Dorset and Visit, Dover, and it goes into the cities, and then also like the county regions have their own Visit blank, right, which is the local tourism board's website, and some of them are very good. I thought that the Visit Kent website was actually phenomenal, and a really great resource for trying to figure out where we wanted to actually see within Kent.
Bonnie,
what's up?
Bonnie's saying good morning from Calgary, and she says Canada, not Scotland, but we have much of the same daylight hours in both Calgarys. It sounds like your sun sets a little bit later if it's at 4:30, but other than that, it's certainly both are pretty far north.
Yeah.
Traveling with Nick P says he had plenty of his own issues on his road trip this summer, and it always happens on the road. Sure does, doesn't it? I hope everything went okay with you. As I feel like we've lucked out in a lot of ways. It always could have been worse. Thomas Reiser says it's his kind of Thanksgiving. Mac and cheese, steak, and hot fudge sundae should be like its own holiday dish.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed that combination, and let's create a holiday, you guys, where that's the food. And so Bonnie says, same here in SoCal, aka Southern Calgary. That's funny. Because I know that Lori Sims is in California. My dad says, I can see the first means of travel book being reviews of tow truck drivers around the globe. God, I hope not. But
that would suck.
We will say, if you are going to do the North Coast 500, it doesn't hurt to have like phone numbers of local tow truck companies, or like figure out where those garages might be along the route too, just in case, because let's say you're at a place without service and stuff like that, you have to ask to borrow somebody's phone. I don't know. I think no, you don't need to do that, because you're always going to have roadside assistance with your rentals in the UK. But there's a lot of people in the UK who would do it who wouldn't have a rental car. Oh, well,
if you're not having a rental car.
Right, that's what
I'm assuming
saying.
Most people that we're talking to would have a rental car.
Oh, well,
but I guess if not, if you
sorry
live in the UK...
to everybody who's on this chat who's from the UK, Derek just totally, dissed you guys.
If you're from
and
the
I'm
UK,
for you.
then sure,
I love that you guys are on this.
Yes. have a Rolodex of tow truck operators.
Yeah, so the Lock Karen Garage, that was our jam.
That was our jam. Ruth, I have no idea what level of government is responsible for the roads up that way. I have no idea.
Hi, Travel Best Destinations.
What's up?
Welcome.
Travel Best Destinations.
Troy says here in the U.S., most tow truck drivers usually say hello by bending over and mooning you.
Like plumber butt.
Yikes. We had an electrician do that this summer at our house. Roger Sexton says, I would allow at least 4 hours to drive from York to Heathrow.
Yeah, I misspoke. It was 3.5 hours is kind of what Google tells you, which I always round up by a half hour usually, whatever Google tells me, because I always find that it takes a lot longer.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are we planning to see on the Isle of Skye? I feel like we kind of answered that already, so I don't know when that came in.
Yeah.
But we are planning to go to the north part tomorrow, for those of you guys who weren't on when we said that. And we're going to be hopefully seeing that waterfall that I really, really, really want to see.
Yeah, the waterfall is one thing. There's like a town of Uig up there, and then there's the Fairy Glen that we want to see.
Yeah, so we went to the Fairy Glen last time, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was
so great.
So
we're definitely going back.
Yeah.
Frank
is telling us
from Julia Dagnese says, Cicerone Guides has a great little paperback guide on the NC 500. I'm going to show you guys the one that we have real quick. I don't know if it's similar.
Paul Tipton, I haven't seen the sun today. It's been quite foggy. Sorry about that, man. And Mary Ellen Dillon is finally sunny in Connecticut. I'm hoping to get outside a bit later today. Very nice. And Ronnie Dove says same here in Texas.
Nice.
Well, that's unfortunate because that means no sun.
So this book was something we purchased in Tourist Information Center in Inverness. It's really big for a guidebook about just a road trip. So
it's actually really decent. Pleased. Yeah, it's got a decent amount of like historical context and like geology and different things like that.
The only, I don't know if it's the only thing, but like the biggest miss for us was that it didn't have like opening hours of things, and it didn't really talk about like places to eat and stuff. And I don't know if it's because it's 2020 and that's bound to change or whatever, but or maybe it changes throughout the year, so they didn't want to publish that. But I always find that super helpful in like the Rick Steves or the Lonely Planet Frommer's guidebooks. This was just literally telling us information and giving us maps.
It also gives you like nice maps that are kind of detailed in between.
Yeah.
And it breaks it up into like readable chunks. This book assumes that you go clockwise, so you go up the eastern coast first. Western coast first. And what I would say is that I do not recommend that. I would say that the East Coast is definitely less drastic and drastically beautiful than the West Coast that we finished up on. And so I think going up east first makes a lot of sense because it's kind of like you start building to the crescendo that is the West Coast. Also, because the roads on the West Coast can be pretty windy and all that kind of stuff. If you kind of started out your first day hitting the Applecross roads, I think that would be probably a lot for some people if they're not used to that. So starting up going up the East Coast actually gives you a pretty good like introduction to the single track roads and all that kind of stuff that when we were doing
there even were single track roads on the East Coast.
Yeah, there were.
Okay.
Yeah, there definitely were.
Don't listen to me. I was just the passenger.
But what I would say is that it was definitely something that is easier if you go that way. I think it kind of builds. And I would be, personally, I would be a little bit let down coming down the East Coast after having done the West Coast. Because I'd be like, it's just not as beautiful.
Yeah, the West Coast is definitely the most stunning side. It's also the side with the least accommodations. So I think we maybe mentioned this last week. But actually we didn't because we talked to our bed and breakfast host when we checked out. And first of all, okay. Our bed and breakfast host had no idea that we were even like filming anything in our room at all, or we did our live stream from that B&B, and she says to us as we're checking out, she's like, "You guys are the quietest guests I've ever had." And we're like, "Really?" Because we did a live stream from our room. We were worried that we were being very loud on it. She's like, "I never heard that at all."
No, it was so funny. Well, the funniest part was that she was like, "You guys are so quiet that I'd send you guys texts every once in a while. Just to make sure we were okay." And I was like, that's the crazy. That's awesome. I thought we were, I didn't know we were that quiet. We were, now to be fair, our room was on the opposite end of the house from where like the family side of the house was. So we were as far away basically from their living compartments as possible. But yeah, no, she was awesome, and that place was really cool.
Yes,
I would highly recommend staying at that guest house.
There's only 3 rooms, And because of COVID, there's only 2 rooms right now.
Yeah.
So she's almost always fully booked. She said that at Christmas time, she usually gets her bookings from like the first part of the year, like all the way through September. So Christmas, the year before,
basically,
and then by Easter, she gets her September through November bookings.
Yeah.
So because this year's been so strange, she said it's been a little bit different. But in normal years, in the summertime, she's fully booked, but still gets like 6 phone calls a day of people desperate for accommodation. So it's one of those things where when she said that to me, I started asking a ton of questions. And she, at that point knew that I create travel content and everything. And so we were exchanging info about the NC 500. And she said, like, there's 100 accommodations in Ullapool, and everything is completely fully booked in the high season. So that's definitely the place that we recommend you stay. Would definitely stop at.
Yeah.
So
stay at the Mill View with Dawn and have a great time. What I will say is that what we'd always heard and read, like book in advance for the NC 500, but I didn't realize how far in advance you had to book. So that was like a key thing that we're like, we definitely want to tell everybody, like, normal times, book like 6 to 9 months in advance.
If you're going anywhere between April and October on the NC 500, you need to book months in advance in order to get the accommodations that you want. Like, the place that we stayed at is one of the top rated guest houses in Ullapool. It's the Millview B&B, and our host was amazing. So it's just one of those things where it wouldn't be us doing our due diligence for you guys without saying and passing along that info.
Well, and the other thing though, I mean, there is a question that you'd want to ask yourself if you're thinking about doing the NC 500, which is, do you want to do it during high season? Do you even want to try that? Because the issue there is that the roads are going to be very congested. All the there's going to be people everywhere. It's one of the most popular road trips in the UK. So there is some merit to doing shoulder season. I will say, obviously, you get to see less because as things are closed or whatever, there's less daylight. That is definitely a thing to think about. But driving is significantly less stressful when there's less people on the road because there's less stopping at the passing places, having to back up and things like that. I mean, on the entire trip, the NC 500, I probably had to back up 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Pulling off in the passing place is pretty common every day, but like in high season, you're stopping at almost every passing place, and it's kind of like stop and go traffic. So even to go 60 miles, 60 miles is it's never an hour on the NC 500. It's probably closer to 2 hours if there's like no traffic. And it's probably going to be closer to like 3 or 4 hours if, it's heavy traffic like in peak season, if not longer. So it's something to think about and, really think about how comfortable are you with driving these roads. Do you want to do it maybe in shoulder season when there's less people to deal with? Understanding the pros and the cons, right? So.
Yeah, and if I might add, especially on the West Coast, I also exchanged information with our B&B owner about the food. Because we were able to walk into like any restaurant that we wanted, basically, that was still open. Many of the restaurants were closed, but the handful that were still open, the tables weren't full, that sort of thing. And I said, what is it like during high season? And she said, there are only 9 restaurants in town and 100 accommodations, so you need to book a table. And like, there's a Chinese takeaway place, maybe for the people that don't do that in advance, but
cash only.
Which is cash only. But yeah, it's super important that you really plan out the logistics of your trip. Even though sometimes that's not fun. Sometimes you want to wing it on a road trip, but on this road trip, don't wing it.
Eliz liked their chow mein.
Yeah, the chow mein was good at the Chinese takeaway place. Hot tip. I think it was called Lucky House.
It's the only Chinese place in town.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So, Lou Tolman, welcome. He asks, how do you drive through Tier 3, which is the high COVID areas, to get to Heathrow or other Tier 1 or 2 destinations? Can you stop for gas or food in such Tier 3 areas? What is the tier around Heathrow? All amazing questions. So we had to drive through a Tier 3 area just to get up to Scotland, and we just did not stop. I don't know what the rules are. My understanding is it's more like you would get in trouble more if you were actually stopping for an overnight. Like if you had to just stop to use the bathroom, it probably
like castles or something.
Or yeah, you stop to like just go somewhere, like a castle, like just that would be an issue. But probably if you stop to fill up your tank or use the bathroom, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Like it would be understandable, I guess, from the eyes of the law. But like right now in England, no one's supposed to leave their area. So it's kind of like I'm answering this question once the tier system gets back into place. We plan everything in a way that we do not have to stop. So I don't know what the actual rule is, but like that's just the way that we approach it. Then Heathrow is going to be in tier 2, which means you can be there, and it's the same as all of London is going to be in tier 2. So you can visit there, but kind of there's going to be a lot of precautions. You just have to do your research, and all of the tier 2 restrictions are listed on the gov.uk website, so it's really easy to figure those out if you just go there. I think I answered all of those questions. Iggy says, which do you prefer, England or Scotland?
Fighting words.
Yeah, I mean, we love both of them, but I guess I'm going to go with answering this by saying the pros and cons of both. So, like, Scotland from a natural beauty perspective is just incredible. I probably prefer the... Oh, Derek, you have to come over here. Come here. I probably prefer the, like, food in England just, like, slightly more, because I feel like everywhere here has a little bit more, like, haggis or blood sausage on the menu.
Hey, haggis is delicious.
Yeah, we actually had really good haggis at the Torridon, didn't we?
We did, and it was yum yum.
Yeah, so, hold on. We gotta do a wave. Thank you, Purdue. So I started this time, don't I?
No,
what are you doing?
Yeah, there you go.
I did it.
We're all out of sorts.
Derek's not used to being on this side.
No, I'm not. I like to lead. I don't like to follow.
Thank you so much for the super chat. We really, really appreciate it. And yes, of course we're gonna do the wave. Derek's still gonna do the wave.
I was doing it from back there. If you didn't see, I was like.
He was. I was like, you gotta come over here. Okay, so what do you think? I mean, Scotland is amazing. I love visiting Edinburgh. I love visiting the Highlands. The people are awesome. We just haven't been able to talk to as many of them on this trip as we normally would.
Yeah.
England's great.
I don't know that I can. I'd say for natural beauty, for outdoors, Scotland.
We did love like
the Lake District's is beautiful.
We loved the White Cliffs of Dover. We loved like touring around the Jurassic Coast. So like there are certainly amazing places in England too. Yeah. So we want to give England its fair credit. But if you're saying, like, should I go to London or should I go to Scotland? Or, like, should I go to London or should I go to the Highlands? They're, like, completely different trips. So it's kind of a preference of, do you want a city trip or do you want
to Edinburgh or am I going to Glasgow?
Yeah.
It'd be more like, am I going to the Lake District or am I going to the Highlands, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's a little bit more comparable.
That's true. And then Edinburgh and London's even still. Like, Edinburgh's, it has this super historic feel. And London is just, I mean, it's a center of, like, where trends start. I mean, it's this enormous city. So,
what I would say is that England is bigger.
Yeah.
It has more things to see. There's a lot more, like, destinations and tourist places. In terms of like English heritage, for example, you know, I'd say that English heritage is a great deal if you love historical like locations and stuff, and you could. And
if you're gonna be here a long time, it's an extra super great deal.
Yeah. And
the membership.
You know, so that it's one of those things where I'm like, well, if I were to say from like a historical standpoint, historical like cultural locations, I would probably choose England, just because there's a ton of them and there's a lot to see and a lot of variety.
Yeah.
Whereas in Scotland, I've found it, at least in the places that we can go to, because obviously like Edinburgh, Glasgow have theirs, but you know those have been off limits to us while we've been here. You know, so it's a little bit different, and it's a lot more about nature and caves and hikes and stuff like that, which we love and we think is a great time. So it's you know, it's kind of up to you.
Yeah.
But I do love Edinburgh too. I think Edinburgh is awesome.
Yeah. They're all great.
Oh, and this now I'm doing the Skye Gold, which I assume is a lager.
Golden Craft Ale.
Golden Craft Ale. I don't know what that is, but Wales is gorgeous. Yes,
Wales
Purdue, I
is
agree.
gorgeous. We
Wales
are
is
very, very bummed that we can't go there on this trip.
Wales has a lot of English castles.
It does, yeah. We've talked about it a bunch on this live stream, that we've really enjoyed our trip to Llandudno and visiting Carnarvon Castle several years ago now. And we really wanted to go back to Wales. I want to go to the Pembrokeshire coast in Wales very badly.
Did you read Mark Smith? Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark Smith.
Welcome to the party.
Any fast food?
Made chorizo simmered in beer and a sandwich with cheddar cheese, which sounds awesome.
Nice. Oh, by the way,
would eat
Mark,
that.
we answered your questions at the very, very beginning, so I don't know if you were here for that. If you weren't, just we'll maybe watch the replay or something. And then any fast food like fish and chips.
Yes. Sorry, what's the question?
I'm trying to understand what the question is.
So I think it's the, you know, do we eat fast food like fish and chips? Yes, we do. We like fish and chips.
And it actually is a good fast food here.
Yeah.
So you'll find a chippy in a lot of different towns usually, whether it's England or Scotland, and you can just get that to take away. Yeah. So that's a good option. I would definitely recommend trying it, even if you're the kind of person who like maybe doesn't go for seafood normally. I certainly meet a lot of those people in the Midwest because seafood's just not as good in the Midwest.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, fish and chips,
but
fried
like,
fish. It's like
try it. It's
so
super good.
Right.
And even like if just try it with ketchup. Like people hate me sometimes because I'll dip my fried fish in ketchup sometimes, which is apparently sacrilege. But you know what?
Don't do it.
I do it.
Tartar sauce, man. Tartar sauce.
I know, but you can try it with the tartar sauce or the mayonnaise. They have a lot of different choices for dips.
Oh, is there any like fast food availability where we are? Yeah, no, there definitely is here.
There is a chippy.
There's a chippy. There's all that good stuff.
Where we are here in Port Ree, it's less. There's like the bigger cities in the UK, you'll find like a McDonald's. Like there's a McDonald's in the center of Inverness, and what was it? We were trying to get lunch or something, and they were only serving breakfast until like 11:30 a.m. and we're like,
yeah, it was already 11 o'clock in Inverness at McDonald's, and I was trying. She wanted a burger. I go in, all they had was breakfast. So I came back with like 2 McGriddles, or not McGriddles, sausage McMuffins.
I was like, wait a minute.
And she was like,
this isn't a burger. But anyway, yeah, so you'll find fast food. But where we are, I don't think I've seen too many spots. You'll find like cafes and chippies and stuff. That's kind of what the options are. What is more like west coast of Ireland? So Derek hasn't been. I have. I would say Scotland is more similar to that. Even though there are cliffs, I'm kind of thinking like Cliffs of Moher with this answer. There are cliffs, like the White Cliffs and stuff down there.
Isle of Wight has some really cool cliffs too.
Actually, that's true. The Isle of Wight would be a little bit more similar to like the Galway and Cliffs of Moher area. But I would say from a cultural and like a wildness perspective, it's certainly Scotland and the Highlands. Yeah. And particularly where we're at in the Isle of Skye would be in my experience the most similar, because there are cliffs here, there's a lot of natural beauty and a lot of sheep.
And culturally, I didn't have a good grasp on this until we watched a documentary on the history of Scotland, because we went down that rabbit hole one night trying to figure out what the clearances were all about, and went through one that was like all the history. It was lots of history, and they were talking about how like a unified Scotland actually happened under what was really an Irish king, and that's why the Gaelic spoken in Scotland and Scots is more of a Gaelic language, more similar to Ireland as opposed to similar to like the Welsh language.
Yeah.
Even though most of Scotland would have at one time spoken a language more similar to the Welsh language, up until the point where Delrian or whatever it's called, that kind of kingdom helped unify Scotland, which was an Irish-based kingdom that had like kind of straddled, I guess, the sea.
Yeah, yeah. Which it was. We're just really glad that we ended up watching some history to fill ourselves in, because we don't have a guide on this trip. So we just want to make sure that we're taking away all that we can, making it meaningful.
Yep.
Alan A asks, Northern Wales looks like it would be awesome for scenery, but your picks from the Highlands look amazing too. Any thoughts on comparing them? So I would say you need to decide what's more important to you, visiting like castles or visiting places with locks. Otherwise, they are kind of both just incredible choices. So in Wales, I want to say it's like the most number of castles per square mile of anywhere, definitely anywhere in the UK, if not anywhere in Europe. And a lot of them are English castles.
Well, they're
right
pretty much all English
Yeah,
castles.
right on the ocean, built by Edward I. Because Edward I had a strong navy, so he'd come into all these ports, build the English castles.
Edward the Longshanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so a bunch of English castles. So like Conway, Carnarvon, all those were done by him. It was it was called, like his like iron wall or stone wall or something like that, where he's like, you couldn't. They didn't have a good way to like conquer the Welsh and keep the Welsh down. So what they did was they just brought in these castles, because they're like, I don't care how angry the Welsh are out there, they can't get into our castle. And if they do, we have all of his castles had like an escape route through the sea. Yeah. They all had like a sea door, and they're like, as long as we control the waves, we're good, because we can resupply our castles, and also if we have to, we can evacuate.
Yeah, and so the castle infrastructure there in Northern Wales is so cool to learn about and to see. Yep. And it's just a lot more well preserved, and the castles were just better, like cooler, neater engineering than anything you'll find in Scotland.
Klaus, welcome, sir. Hello.
Hi, Klaus. Sorry, I just want to finish my. So with the Highlands, what's just breathtaking is the natural beauty, and it's going to be mountains next to locks, and you're going to see like these croft houses and stuff that I feel like we maybe talked about before, but it's just a system of working with the land and just learning about.
Which crofting is still a thing that happens here. So a lot of people think about the crofters as the people that got cleared out of here during the clearances between like the late 1700s and like the mid 1800s. But there are still crofting communities out there. In fact, we drove through one where they talked about how just recently, in probably the last 2 decades or so, the community had come together to communally buy out their properties, because they had been tenants for so long, which is if you look back historically, the history of land ownership in Scotland has been extremely concentrated, so much so that at one point in time, I think like 500 people owned like 95% of the land in the Highlands, which is pretty crazy when you think of how big the Highlands are. Yeah. And everybody else was a tenant. They rent the land and stuff. So these crofters came together in the last probably decade or two to buy out their land, so they could really control their own destiny and live off the land the way they want to. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. We were talking to one of our tow truck drivers who said a lot of those crafting houses are at this point kind of owned by, he said, Nan and Grandpa or whatever. Like basically a lot of them are owned by the older generation, and then the people we'll start renting them out if they inherit them or something like that, because not too many people still live the crofting lifestyle in the same way that they used to be.
Well, what he was saying was, it was kind of sad, was that, a lot of the times what happens is, like, you'll have grandma and grandpa that have their croft.
Yeah.
And when they pass, there's then a fight over what to do with it, with all the, scions of the family or whatever. And if they can't come to an agreement, it ends up basically becoming derelict and falls down.
He was saying that his family works together right now. His grandparents, when they passed, had a croft that overlooked the North Sea on the Shetland Islands.
Yeah, it was like tippy-top north of the Shetland Islands.
And he said, like, we make some good money in the summertime renting it out and stuff.
He's like, it's cold and windy, but people love going there.
Yeah.
He's like, we actually make really good money.
Yeah. I was like, that's really cool that you were able to make that work.
Yeah. But they didn't rent it out this year, and the whole thing being that, he was like, we didn't feel that it was a responsible thing to do to, have people go into the Shetland Islands during this time because, and he brought it up, a point that we hadn't realized, that the closest hospital to the Shetland Islands is Inverness.
Which is so
crazy.
Far
That's
away.
So far away.
So he didn't want to put any of the islanders who help take care of it and manage it at risk or anything like that, which I thought,
generally.
Yeah, I thought that was, so admirable.
Yeah, it was interesting. Okay, so we had a few questions, though.
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Nick Barnett.
What up, Nick Barnett?
And, okay, you already said hi to Klaus, but hi again. And then also Aaron Austin's on.
What
so
up?
Welcome. And Chris Frank, I don't know if I said hi before, but thank you guys for joining.
And Chris Frank says, not a fish person, but I had to have fish and chips in 2018 on my London trip.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
And you
Just
have to try the mushy peas.
And
just try it.
I'm going to say
if you
this
don't
now.
like them, I won't be offended.
I'm going to say this now. I don't care if you're not a haggis person. Try haggis when you come to Scotland. Because surprisingly, when we were at the Torridon, the haggis was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Like, it was super yummy.
It was well seasoned enough that you're like, oh, this tastes yummy.
Had all the seasoning.
Yeah.
So,
but I know a lot of people aren't super into fish, but just try it. It's good.
Chris Frank even agrees it was good, even though he's not a fish person.
Yeah.
All right, so Roger Sexton says, I'm English, but I would agree with you regarding the relative merits of England and Scotland. I understand your disappointment in not being able to visit Wales, and also agree about fish and chips. We just agree about everything, Roger.
Agree.
Yep. Mark Smith says, there's always pub food, i.e. Scotch eggs. We've had no Scotch eggs since we've been here.
No.
They always look so good.
We still haven't had a deep fried Mars bar because we haven't found one.
We had to remedy that.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be so disappointed.
All right, guys, bucket lists. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Like, it's really sad. Well, it was funny because the other day, Eliz goes, oh my God, we're running out of time. I'm so sad. I'm like, at that point, I think we still had like 10 or 11 days left. And I go, we still have more time than we typically ever have on vacation. So, like, I think we still had like 13 days left. And I was like, we still have time. But yeah, I agree. We are in the last stretch.
Different people are chatting about the different kinds of fish. So seafood, lake food is fabulous in Door County, Wisconsin. And then...
But Nick Barnett says, what's the best food we've eaten in recent days?
Our Thanksgiving dinner of steak, mac and cheese, and
a
hot fudge sundae was pretty delightful. But
good,
what would you say the best one would have been?
The night before that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did a 3-course.
And you never told him about that.
Oh, yeah. You guys, thanks for staying on long enough to hear my second story about the Torridon that I alluded to an hour ago.
So the Torridon, just for those who don't know, the Torridon is a very nice hotel.
Yeah.
We did not stay at the Torridon. We stayed at the stables at the Torridon.
Which is on the property. Not in the main house.
It's not the main house. It's much cheaper. Still very nice, actually. I liked it.
Oh, yeah, it was still, and we were overlooking a pasture of Highland cows, Harry Coos.
Oh my God,
because we checked in after dark. I didn't know until the morning, and
it's like the next morning you
wake up. I opened the window. I was like, oh, there's like 20 of them. I got so excited.
Eliz almost OD'd on adorableness.
They were so cute.
They were very cute.
So when we check in, as soon as we walk in the door at the Torridon to check in, this dog comes.
This has nothing to do with the story, but yeah, keep
no,
going.
It doesn't. None of that did. This dog comes running at me. This like cocker spaniel, and it greets me, and then rolls over for a belly rub. And I haven't been able to really like pet a dog in months, and it was just the best greeting. I was so happy. I was just, and apparently it was the owner's dog, and I was so happy. So anyway, so then. Flash forward.
Again, that has nothing to do with the story.
No, I'm just like, somebody give me a dog to pet.
She can't wait to get back to my parents' house just to have a dog to, like, cuddle.
Yeah. Anyway, so flash forward 2 hours, and we're getting ready for what would be the nicest dinner that we have scheduled for our entire time in Scotland.
It's the kind of place where you don't do a la carte, right?
Yeah.
It's only you do the 3-course menu or you do, like, the 8-course tasting.
Yeah. So, we're getting ready, and all of a sudden the lights start flickering and the TV starts flickering all at the same time. Like everything starts flickering, and Derek turns to me. He's like, "Yeah." And then
and then it all goes off.
Turns off, and Derek turns to me and he's like, "Why did you just turn off all the lights?" It's like, "What are you talking about?" Like I don't have some sort of kill switch. Like,
she's just over there and she pulls like the
click. And so then so the lights go out and we're like, okay, they'll come back on. And then we have somebody come and check in on us, and they're like, hey, the lights are out in the entire town and it should be on soon, so like let us know. If
basically the bars are still serving drinks,
Yeah.
but all the food is on standby. We don't know if we're serving dinner tonight or what's happening. So we're like, we had reservations down at the main house for dinner, so
which is a walk. It's a short walk, but
Very
it's
short.
like everything is pitch black, right? There's no lights
all
anywhere.
the lights are off, and obviously at this point it's it's like 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. So it's been dark for like 3 hours.
So I had brought with us on this trip
Headlamps.
I don't know.
Like cheap little headlamps that you'd buy like at a state park before
LED
you go.
light headlamps, which we've used. I think it was just because we knew that the daylight was going to be limited. And they're really good for Derek's sunrise photography, because if you have to arrive at a destination before sunrise, then you can wear them and stuff. And we had not used them this entire trip. So then I was like, the lights go out, and I'm like, I got this. And so I go to the suitcase, and I'm like, headlamps with our like nice clothes, and we go outside, and I think the front they're like the manager of the stables that was like, wow, you guys came prepared.
It was pretty funny.
And so we're the only ones, I think, that went from the stables to the main house that night, because we were the only ones.
No, we weren't. Other people did, but
you think so?
Everybody else had like flashlight on their phone out and stuff, and like we had like headlamps on, and people looked at us like,
yeah, they're like, what?
Did they do this? Like, they seem way too prepared for this. But yeah, but it ended up being really. All of this is a long story to say. That was probably the nicest dinner that we ended up having, because we went in.
But it was by
we did
candlelight.
Cocktails. Everything was by candlelight. It was, I would say, very atmospheric.
Yeah.
It was nice, and we had a nice meal.
Yeah, we did.
So.
We did.
Scallops.
But that was one to remember for sure, because I don't think I've ever. I was so worried that the kitchen wasn't going to have, all the right equipment to use and stuff, but clearly they had a backup generator that we find out later, for just the kitchen.
Yep.
So. Yeah.
But no, it was all good, and that was a pretty awesome.
Yeah, meal. But the lights didn't come on until 3:45 in the morning, roughly.
Yeah.
So
which woke us up, because of course all of our lights then turned on, the TV turned on. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, but that's never happened to me before, that we've lost power at a hotel.
And then
so
we
let
got a
us
flat
know
tire,
in the chat if you guys have done that, because that was a first for us for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Torridon was funny, because when we first checked in, it was after dark and stuff. And you just you roll up to this long driveway, and I was like, did we just come to a haunted house?
Yeah.
It kind of has
like
that haunted house vibe going on.
Definitely looks like a haunted house. Thanks to everybody for shouting out to press the like button. If you guys haven't already, press that like button. Just the thumbs up down there. And thank you if you already have too. It definitely helps the channel and support the channel. So thank you to I think it's it's Kim, and to Ruth for saying that.
Hello, Nathan. Sorry, Nathan popped in.
Hi, Nathan.
I think this is a first for Nathan, but hello.
And hello to Andy Lee. Hold on, sorry, I'm just gonna. Okay, so it says Door County, Wisconsin has a tradition called a fish boil all over the peninsula, especially weekends in summer and early fall. Very popular. Very cool. And that sounds, that's the Great Lakes tradition. And there's also a ton of crawfish boils and stuff that you can get in other parts of the U.S. So I love that there is definitely a seafood tradition in the U.S.
I love.
And I didn't mean to generalize too harshly with when I said that a lot of Midwesterners don't like seafood. I just feel like it over-indexes in the Midwest of people that I've met who don't like seafood in comparison to the coasts.
The one thing that I was gonna say though was about the crawfish boils and all that kind of stuff. I saw on Instagram recently somebody did one. It had like the corn on the cob in it. It looks so good.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that. It seems really yummy.
Andy Lee says, how do we celebrate Thanksgiving? So we did answer this earlier on the chat, but we went to the restaurant at the Stables at the Torridon that evening after getting our tow truck to drop us off at our hotel.
And we got a mac and cheese and a ribeye steak, and we shared those. And then we shared a hot fudge sundae.
It was the most American sounding thing we could find on the menu. And they were good.
It was yummy.
Yeah, like no regrets.
Yeah. The steak was better than the mac and cheese, but
it was also
really
twice the price. So
3 times as much.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive, but it was really good. It came with a peppercorn sauce. It was like super yummy.
Yeah,
I was just
good.
like, can I just
steak was yum.
Yeah. And ribeye is like my favorite. So good. Okay, so what do we got next?
Purdue says, I was thinking there needs to be a Thanksgiving equivalent to a Scotch egg. Turkey surrounded by stuffing with a panko bread coating, deep fried, maybe on a stick. That sounds like a great way to use your Thanksgiving leftovers, and I approve. Please report back.
Stuffing's my favorite. I love stuffing.
You do.
In high school, I used to go and I'd buy like the stovetop things, because like after Thanksgiving or whatever, it'd be like 39 cents a box or something like that. I'm like, that's lunch. Okay.
I like the mashed potatoes best, and then I like the pie, because the pie. Yum.
Pie's good. We had good pie actually recently.
Oh yeah, we tried. There's this place that apparently is famous for pie, over in Lochinver.
Yep.
And
called the Lochinver Larder.
Yes, that's what it's called.
And they do pies of all kinds. They've got savory pies. They got sweet pies.
So having driven through Lochinver, which is another popular stop on the West Coast, but it is quite close to Ullapool, I would recommend staying in Ullapool and doing a day trip to Lochinver if that's achievable for you, because I feel like there's just so... I just really liked Ullapool. I liked it there.
Ullapool's nice. The problem, though, is that Lochinver and Ullapool are actually relatively far away. It's like a drive.
From each other?
Yeah. It's
like an hour.
So, like, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll stay around Lochinver, and then they'll go and they'll stay around Ullapool.
Oh.
Because there's also a ton of stuff to do, like, nature, beauty-wise. So Lochinver makes a good stop. Ullapool makes a good stop. Most people who do the NC 500 stay one night each place, sort of thing. And then just like mosey on.
Yeah.
I say, if you're here on shoulder season, you have less daylight. Staying for multiple nights, if you can stay for longer, makes a lot of sense, because there's just less time to do stuff. So you can't pack as much into one day.
I guess, because we stayed in Ullapool for 4 nights, we were able to do the Lochinver day trip. So, whatever floats your boat.
And because of that, because the way that we were prioritizing things, there's some stuff that we missed out on that, like, very northwest part of the NC 500.
Yeah.
That would have been fun to hit, but, at the end of the day, you only have so many days and so many hours, so.
Yep. Okay. Mark Smith says you may want to stay on there. Yeah. Everyone traveled for Thanksgiving. Yeah. That's a good point. if we're being honest, we had some moments where we were like, should we stay? Because we do have a little bit of flexibility with our tickets, but because of the 14-day quarantine period and wanting to be back for the holidays, we felt like leaving that week of December 7th made sense. But I understand the rationale of the other choice as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, we've thought about it both ways, but you know, while we've loved this trip has been awesome. We've really, I mean, it's been awesome. I don't know how many times I can say awesome in a sentence, but it's going to be a lot. Awesome. There's also something about getting back home that does have like an appeal, right?
Derek's been watching a lot more Hallmark movies because he's starting to miss home a lot. His family.
Actually, we've been watching Netflix Christmas movies.
That's true.
We watched The Princess Switched 2, Switched Again. Spoiler, they switch again.
Yeah.
We watched something. What did we watch? The other one? Operation Christmas Drop.
Oh yeah, we did watch that one. We did.
Good times.
Yeah.
Mo's on. What's up,
Mo? Welcome.
Whoa! Just got a new motorbike helmet. Very cool.
Nice. Oh man. That's really cool. We wish we could see that. Yeah, so I don't know if we end up staying a little bit. We also were like, should we just stay a couple extra days? But
yeah, I mean, we've looked at that. Maybe extending it by like 2 or 3 days, and just maybe extending beyond the 7th by a little bit. At the end of the day, we got phenomenal return rates though for our return tickets. And no matter what, it would cost more miles to come back if we want the same level of ticket, which is first class, which we've never done first class.
Yeah. It was 75,000 miles to fly first class. Not business class. First class.
And it's
which
90,000.
Neither of us have ever flown.
Yeah. Well, not on American. I've flown first class once, and that was on British Airways. But
of course he has. I've never flown it. And we were really looking forward to it. And so it would cost money to keep those tickets and fly a different day. Or not money, but miles. Yeah. But, you know, you gotta be safe. Yeah. Yes. I hope everybody's had a safe holiday. That's all. I'll end with that.
So, probably coming back. Lou, have you heard any talk about whether the U.S. and other tourists staying for long periods in the U.K. in 2021 might be able to get COVID vaccine shots in Britain, or will they be at the bottom of the list?
I would say you'd be at the bottom of the list.
If I had to guess, because the way that the U.K. seems to be going about it is kind of need-based, and I think that they're looking at their vulnerable populations as being the ones that are most highest in line to get vaccinated, and then they work their way kind of down the list.
Yeah. And honestly, I agree with that philosophy and that procedure. So, yeah. I think, I would love to get vaccinated as soon as possible. I certainly would, would rather have
skip
somebody.
The line,
I'd rather have somebody who needs it get it before me.
Because we have the benefit of being able to work from home, self-isolate, etc. So I'd much rather have people who are frontline workers.
Oh yeah.
Even
teachers.
Yeah, I mean I consider them frontline workers. Yeah. People who are actually have to go into the office. Not even just frontline workers, but people whose jobs require them to be in person. I think should be at the head of the line because. It's more important that they are able to go and take care of themselves.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different of a system than in the U.S. Here, where everybody is entitled to the same health care, through the taxes that they pay. So prioritizing those who most need it makes total sense. Prioritizing tourists wouldn't. So.
And, you see it in how they've talked about, the idea of getting out of your 14-day quarantine early in the UK is, by taking a test, but it's not going to be an NHS test. It's going to be a private provider test that you have to pay for, right? Because they don't want their resources being utilized by, tourists to, overwhelm their system.
Yeah. Bye, Katie. Sorry if you've already gone.
Bye, Katie.
I just read your note. Have
it's
a
very
great day.
sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. We always love when you are on so we can catch up. Chris says, I'm not a Thanksgiving pie fan. I do not like pumpkin. American version. And a pecan pie is too sweet for me. I
agree about pecan.
Agree about pumpkin, though. I'm sorry to hear that. That's...
the best pie for me is apple.
Yeah.
I love Dutch apple pie.
I like berry pies. I like cherry, blueberry, those good ones. I like peach pies. Yeah.
What you got?
But Hot Fudge Sundae should make an appearance on. You know, you guys gotta start a new tradition. A Hot Fudge Sundae on Thanksgiving. It's where it's at.
What'd you get? You got peach apricot.
At the pie place in Lochinver, I got a peach apricot pie. It was definitely apricot forward. Whereas I kind of wanted it to be peach forward. So there's that. But it was still good. The difference was that I feel like most of the sugar was like in the crust, and they had even sprinkled sugar in the crust, but there was a lot less sugar in the filling than what we're used to in America. So that was different because this is a very popular pie place. But it was interesting to see how they really altered their recipes to kind of appeal to a more local palate.
Well, it's not altered. It's probably just how their recipes were.
Well, I feel like in America it wouldn't fly.
Yeah, but they probably were making pies before America was America.
Maybe. I don't know. Do you think that the Lochinver pie place was baking pies in like 1600s?
Back in the old times?
I don't know, maybe. Lude says, have you guys heard any talk about whether the U.S. Oh, sorry. You already read that. Aaron Austin says, first class at least once is important. I hope so, yeah. I'm not... Okay, so I have flown overseas business class. I have flown first class in the U.S., but I've not flown international first class. And Derek, what is the difference between international first class and... Sorry, he's like tending the fire right now. So he's right off screen. Yeah, the fire's actually like dead, isn't it?
Yes.
What's the difference between international first and first?
In domestic first?
Wait, yeah, no. What's the difference between international first class
and business class?
And international business class? Sorry, let me just describe what is happening off camera. He is crumpling up newspapers to put them into the fire, and it makes a loud crinkling sound. I feel like I should like pick up the laptop so everybody can watch you light this fire.
No, it's good.
No, it's fine. What's the difference?
Well, it depends on the airline.
Okay. What about on British Airways, which is the only one that you can speak to?
Well, I think that business class on British Airways is not great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite. The seats are just, they feel less private. They're less enclosed than on like an American Airlines would be. Or even like compared to like Japan Airlines or Cathay or one of those. And their first class feels a lot more like an American business class in my mind. Or at least, from what I can tell. They do some nice, like, there's some like nicer features, like everybody has their own like closet little thing and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. That's like attached to the seat. And they also do like a full afternoon tea service pre-landing. That's like your pre-landing snack in first class for British Airways, which is different than in business class, so that's pretty cool. What I will say is that, but if you look at like the actual seat, the hard product is, I'd say, relatively comparable to what you'd get in a business class seat from American Airlines.
Yeah. And
American Airlines business class seat I like better than Japan Airlines, better than Cathay, better than BA definitely. So, those are just my 2 cents. But Cathay does have a really good soft product, which is the Hong Kong Airlines. And so they do really good, like their food is really good. Their lounges are pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. So those are nice.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm sounding a little like hoity-toity with this
Derek
stuff.
used to travel for business all the time.
That came to a screeching halt.
Before
Just
March
hit a brick
2020.
wall.
Yeah, so he can answer a lot of questions. Ooh,
Oh,
you
soot.
got some. You got soot on your arm.
Sooty.
It's like in Mary Poppins.
I'm Dick Van Dyke.
You're Dick Van Dyke.
Step in time, everybody step in time.
So for those of you guys who weren't on right at the beginning, we're in an Airbnb in Port Ree in the Isle of Skye in Scotland, and the main source of heat. Oh my gosh! I hope you guys are all watching for that. Okay, the main source of heat in this place is a wood burning stove. There are a few space heaters as well, and we have space heaters upstairs in the bedrooms. But this wood burning stove is Derek's forte. These couple nights.
I love it.
Derek likes fire.
I told her we need to now buy. I said we have to buy a lake house now that has a wood burning stove as its primary heat source because it's a fun time. I'm sure I'm gonna get sick of it, or I would get sick of it if I had to do this all the time. But right now it hasn't lost its novelty value for me, and I'm a boy that likes fire, so that helps.
Yeah, if you had to constantly be buying all the supplies for it and like bringing in the wood and stuff, I'm sure you wouldn't be as pleased. But
the amount of wood this thing consumes is staggering.
Yeah.
For how small it is.
There's a huge wood shed out in the front yard, absolutely massive. I feel like
we've made a dent in it, and we've only been here a few days.
They're probably like, gosh, those Americans were cold.
Yes.
Anyway, so
there's no place like home for the holidays. The only place you can go. We have tough new restrictions here now. No social gatherings. Even in your own home. Feel sorry for people who live alone. Yep, that is said. Blaine, what's up, Blaine?
Hi, Blaine. Welcome. Rayleigh Creative Travel. Any burned hair? Are you okay on your arms? Derek did burn his foot earlier.
Scalded my foot. Had nothing to do with the fire.
Yeah, scalded his foot from accidentally pouring a little bit of boiling water on it.
Yes. Probably missing some knuckle hair. Yeah.
Yikes.
That was the question.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so
LNA, are you hoping to do a live stream next Sunday, the 6th? Would you be doing it from York if you do? No.
Yes to the live stream.
Yes, we're doing a live stream.
We have not yet canceled any live streams for this year.
No New York.
We will be continuing our live streams on Sundays into December. We would not be in New York. We would actually be at an airport hotel at Heathrow. Mm-hmm. It would be the last night of our time in the UK next Sunday.
Yeah,
and we're going to spend it with you guys.
And close it out with you folks.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys can join. We can kind of wrap up the trip and talk about some of the highlights. And, that is if we don't extend.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So Mark Smith says his summer house in Rhode Island, ooh, can I come? Had a small hot belly stove and
for heating
and cooking. Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Really cool.
That would be interesting to use for cooking.
They're really fun, and they can throw out some like major heat. Actually, the Applecross Inn that we went and had lunch at right before we had our flat tire had like a big potbelly stove type thing, which they use to heat like their main area. Same thing actually up in Inverness at the Leaky bookstore, the secondhand bookstore. They have a giant stove that they use to like heat the bookstore. Which is kind of funny because like they'll go through and if they find like a paper like bookmark in a book, like a secondhand book, they'll throw it into the fire, which I find funny. I just think that's I'm like, hey, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So like it's very common here, and what I will say though is that I've seen them put coal in and actually burn coal in these things, and I understand though now why you might burn coal in one of these things because like. It just eats through wood.
Don't burn coal, guys. I'm not pro coal.
Clean coal?
Is there such thing?
I don't know. Let's not start this. Nick Bird's nuts. Honestly, I'd stay where you are.
Yeah. I understand why all you guys are saying that, including my parents. I think would even be like, yeah, I understand that, but it's funny. Like, I mean, it's not funny, but just look, the numbers here in the Highlands are so much smaller than even elsewhere in the UK. So I feel like we're gonna be in for a shock, having been in the Highlands now for a month, about like what life is like elsewhere, especially in the U.S. But we did live. I mean, so we lived in Chicago during Chicago's lockdown, and didn't really leave our house for, except to go grocery shopping and stuff for several months last spring. So basically, that's just what I'm picturing our life in the U.S. would be like when we go back. Okay, so answered that question. Sorry, I jumped around. Nick Barnett's, how's the weather up there? Rainy? Sort of, but not too bad. The last 2 days, yesterday we actually had a lot of sunny weather, which was awesome, because we were able to do a longer hike to the fairy pools in the Isle of Skye, and so I was really pleased about that. This morning it was kind of rainy and cloudy when we woke up, and then it cleared up throughout the day. So this Airbnb has really awesome mountain views from the second story. I should say it has 2 levels, and it's like the next level up, because that's called the first floor here in the U.S. or here in the UK, but the U.S. people call it the second floor. So we can see mountains and stuff, and so that cleared, the clouds all cleared, and we were like, oh, awesome mountain view. So we've been lucky on Isle of Skye so far. It was definitely rainy several days of our NC 500 trip. So, you win some, you lose some. That's just kind of Scotland, and I think that's kind of Scotland any time of year, but especially in the autumn. And then travel best destinations. Are you planning to post videos on YouTube from different places you visit? Absolutely. So Derek and I have been doing kind of like daily travel vlogs and filming them for posting once we get back from our trip. I'm still kind of new to YouTube, as you guys know, and just editing an entire travel vlog takes me like 2 days to from start to end of everything that needs to get done. So we just haven't had the time to do it while we've been on the go. We've just prioritized filming, and visiting places while we're here. And so once I get back in December, there's going to be a lot of content that gets released on this channel. So I hope you guys are in for it. I hope you guys are as excited as I am to see it.
Did somebody ask a question
about if we're going to be posting videos about the places that we visited?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we've got so much. Thankfully, we both brought external hard drives with us, so we've got it all.
Using this guy a lot of like.
Yep.
B-roll.
We've got a lot, and what is tricky is I've never had to vlog a road trip before, so please bear with us if it's a little bit like you're gonna see a learning curve with this vlogging experience, because neither of us have really done these too much in the past. Derek especially is not, but he just points the GoPro at himself and talks.
Hey guys, where I am.
And my feedback to him is like, don't start every single video with "Hey guys" or "All right, so." Because that's every single time. But yeah, no, we're working on it. Just bear with us. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff you're going to see, but I'm not going to pretend like this is going to be like the best travel vlog you'll ever watch. But we have learned so much as we've done them.
Hey guys. All right, so
thanks, Lori, by the way, that you look forward to them.
So Nick Barnett says, "Oh hey Derek, what kind of camera is that? Do you recommend that for travel vlogs, or do you have something else for that?" So that was a GoPro, is what this is.
Here, let me go grab
the GoPro 7.
The other cameras that we use.
Which one, when we bought this, was the newest one. I think they're on a GoPro 9 at this point, which is really cool because the GoPro 9, which I kind of want, it has like a screen here. This doesn't show you anything. This just shows you that it's like recording how many minutes you have left, that kind of like data. But the newest one actually has a self-facing camera, so that when you're like filming yourself, you can actually frame it and see, which is really nice. I'd say like the best part about a GoPro for me is handheld video is really smooth. They have a technology within it that helps like stabilize the video quality as you're going. So it's not going to be gimbal quality quite. Gimbal being a thing that has like a stabilizer that uses like gears to keep the video like perfectly butter smooth. But this is darn close, and it's going to do a pretty good job. So anything beyond the 7 and beyond has that stabilizing technology in it. This was the first one that had it. And so we bought it before we went to like China and whatnot because we wanted something to take video with.
But like, there's been so many just little learnings when it comes to say audio. When you're wearing a face mask, the audio just doesn't pick up as much. Or if it's windy, you have to adjust.
I would say this is not the best for like audio and stuff. I'd say.
And so we have like a suction cup thing in our rental car, and we put it like put it on above the dashboard, and sometimes we'll be talking into it on the trips, and I had to kind of adjust and say, we can't be driving when we do that because there's all these driving sounds that you don't really think about when you're just talking to the camera, but the camera picks up those driving sounds. So when it comes to the editing process, it makes it really challenging. So there's just been a lot of things that because we haven't taken like a road trip that we've ever vlogged. So we've just, bear with us. And
this whole trip, right? This whole 3 months has basically been one epic road trip. If you think about it, because it started, we got the car in London, we drove through Kent, we came back to Portsmouth, we drove through the Isle of Wight, we then drove through the Dorset coast and down to Cornwall and then up to Bristol and Bath and up to the Lake District through the Peaks District and then on to Scotland and the North Coast 500. So it's like the North Coast 500 is a massive road trip in the UK, but we've done so many road trips like that we've just kind of been connecting with, a few day stays here and there. So it's been something.
So we also like my RX 100 7 Sony.
Yeah.
It's a vlogging camera too, so it flips all the way up. You can see. So we'll put this one on a tripod and plug in an external microphone and stuff, and that's good for kind of like standing still things. But like Derek was mentioning before with the gimbal, like if I'm walking and stuff, it'll be bouncy. And same with our iPhone cameras. Like what's nice is that both the iPhones and this will film things in 4K. So there's just pros and cons to
we've been
each
using
tool.
our iPhone 10s quite a bit because what we find is for certain things, the video for this does what we want better than this because the GoPro is a super wide angle lens, and so anything that's kind of far away, this isn't going to pick up very well.
The
for
GoPro
like detailed shots.
Also doesn't have the same aspect ratio as YouTube. So that's tricky too. You have to be really mindful about that when you're filming because it might look like you're getting kind of like the right shot when you're using the GoPro, but then when you're actually editing the footage, you have to stretch it out a ton. So it makes things like you have to cut things off, and it's like if I'm talking into the GoPro, for example, and I'm talking right here, my face, once I actually edit it for YouTube, would take up like the entire screen. So
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do it.
But this can be really good for like things like I've seen people even who use these for like their food vlogging and stuff. Like they'll wear it on their chest for when they're eating food, and like so you can like get almost like you're that person and you're looking at all the stuff.
Yeah, having the GoPro is great if you're going to be travel vlogging and filming in a store because it's so much less noticeable than even if I'm carrying around my iPhone and like doing this around the store. Yeah. So that's one thing, one pro for sure.
Yeah, and also because they don't like you filming on airplanes. So what I find is that this is actually really good. When I'm wearing like a backpack that has like the strap, I'll even like strap it into my chest and just have it going as I'm entering the plane, so I still get that kind of B-roll going down the plane through business class or whatever it is for.
But just a reminder, it picks up
seats.
every single sound, so you're gonna need like it's.
Well, you can kill the sound and just put a soundtrack over.
Yeah, but don't on our vlog, our travel day vlog that we posted on our second day of quarantine. We filmed most of that airplane footage on the GoPro because we wanted to be in stealth mode, and that backfired. We had a lot of constructive feedback about that we learned from that. There was just so much background noise, the static and stuff like that of just the airplane, what the air filters,
like the white noise,
on the airplanes. So yeah.
But yeah, Blaine, this was the 7. I do want the 9 though. The 9
yeah, Derek
cool.
really wants the 9.
So Nick says, nice, good to know. Thanks for that. There's a reason I'm looking for camera ideas for travel vlogging, but I'm not giving too many details yet away.
Nice.
Man, just
this
really
is the weekend to
teasing us with that one.
This is the weekend to buy camera stuff.
Oh god, yeah. Actually, there was a good Black Friday deal for the 9 that I think was like $50 off plus a free 64 gig SD card and something else.
This should not have taken me an hour and 55 minutes into the live stream to say, but if you guys are Black Friday or Cyber Monday shopping,
go through her link.
Well, that too. If you're shopping on Amazon, because Amazon's not on this thing that I'm about to say. So figure out which airline you want the most miles with and everything. And so we use American Airlines shopping portal. Delta has one. United has one.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're going to be buying something online for somebody, they have tons and tons of stores that if you just it's basically like you go to the shopping portal, you type in the store, then you click like shop now from that site, and you're going to get miles per dollar spent. So especially with things like beauty, like I bought some things just for myself, for example, from Clinique this today, and it was like 6 miles per dollar spent. So I think I spent like $200, and so basically I'm getting 1,200 American Airlines miles for that spend, which I would have spent that money anyway. So why not get 1,200 American Airlines miles on top of it, and it's completely free. So do that.
Otherwise, if you're going through Amazon, go through her link because it costs you nothing, and she gets a little bit of
It supports the channel. If you click, there's like Amazon links that you'll see in the descriptions of the videos because I'm an Amazon affiliate for both UK and the US. So if you buy anything on amazon.co.uk or amazon.com and you click on my link within 24 hours of buying anything, then I'll get a very, very, very small percentage of that sale. Probably like 1 to 2%.
But hey, 'tis the season, guys.
Yeah.
Which would be really nice and helpful.
Yeah, it's a great way to support the channel, support free travel content on YouTube that we try to deliver to you guys with a smile all year round.
Yes. But if you'd prefer us not to have a smile, we can do that.
We take feedback.
We take feedback. So, Nick Barnett says, I have a Canon G7X, which is nice quality, and it mounts well with my Joby tripod. We have one of those. It's right here, actually. It's holding the mic.
It's holding the mic. Yeah, the Jobies are great.
But thinking a GoPro or something like that would be better for walking shots. Yeah, I mean, especially if you don't want to deal with the issue of a gimbal.
I think in the description of I'm interrupting. I think in the description of this video, if not, it's in a lot of our other videos. We talk about our tech gear, and there's a GoPro accessories kit that is sold on Amazon that has been amazing. It's like every single accessory we've ever needed. There's a floaty even, and so
if you like the water shots,
like the GoPro brand floaty is like $60.
Yeah,
Don't
stupid.
pay that. Our floaty that we got as part of this accessories kit, that all of the accessories together cost like $30, and it's probably 20 different accessories.
I'll give you a hint, it floats.
Yeah, it floats and it works. And we took it on the boat this summer at Derek's parents' house, and I literally was just filming Derek and his dad while sitting in the water,
jumping off the boat,
filming them like do their dives off the boat and stuff like that. It was so cool. But anyway, that's just one of the many accessories.
I'll give you a hint. I am not a graceful diver.
Yeah, that's not going on YouTube.
For those who thought maybe he's like a swan coming into the water, I'm not. But no, what I will say though,
everybody thought that. You just busted their bubbles.
Sorry guys. Laying down some truth bombs on you. What I will say is that this little thing, oh geez, this little thing right here is a really cool stick though. If you're getting the GoPro, I don't remember. I think it's called like a multi-function stick or something. But it's great because it works as a selfie stick. You know, you can take it out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But what I use it more often as is just like a handle or as a grip if you want like to steady shot it. You know, it just gives you a little bit more control and movement. So I find this to be really helpful. We've had it for quite some time now, and we actually kind of broke it on this trip. So I might be in the market for a new one.
Yeah, we lost
but it works
a
really
little
well.
tiny piece of the screw, but we've had it for a while.
Years, yeah.
Maybe you should add that to your Christmas list. We keep trying to brainstorm things for Derek to add.
Actually, something totally unrelated to any of this.
Can we plug this in, by the way?
Yeah, mine's about to die too.
Oh.
So one thing that is totally unrelated, but if you're looking for a good way to organize your shopping list, your gift list for people, Giftster is a great option.
That's not other people. That's not. I think you framed that wrong. Is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like a registry within a family, so that way.
Well.
You know, you can create your own list, and then other people can see what's been purchased for those people.
All right, so if you're trying to organize all of your gift-giving lists and make it so that you get people what they actually want, it's super easy to do and super easy to use, and if you can get everyone on board with it, it's super efficient.
But you have to get everybody on board.
But everybody needs to kind of be on board. And otherwise, there's just chaos.
Yeah, it's not like the most user-friendly platform, but it has been helpful, especially if a lot of the things people ask for are like online ordering.
All right, so Blaine has a great question, which is, might be our first time filming in an airport when we fly during Christmas. Anything I need to know or tricks they do or do not like? Don't film around security, or if you do, be very careful about it. You're not supposed to. And passport control. Passport control is the other place that you're not supposed to take photographs. You're not supposed to do
Customs, don't do it.
Yeah, any of that stuff. You're not supposed to be doing it.
I've kind of taken a picture once at customs and then felt bad about it.
Eliz is bad at reading signs.
No, it's not about reading signs. It's like I knew it was wrong and I did it anyway, and just don't
Oh, you're not
like.
supposed to admit to that.
Well, I didn't use it. I deleted it right away. But yeah, so don't do that. But you know, the biggest thing is background noise. So if you're actually filming at an airport, you are going to be up against a lot of background noise. So if there's any way to bring an external microphone to kind of help you out there, that's best. Don't ever film the flight attendants. My best friend is a flight attendant for a major U.S. carrier, and she and all of her flight attendant crew do not want to be filmed. They ask people not to film them if they see people filming them. Same with any other staff member. Just like, it's their job. They're at work. They're not like expecting,
props.
you know, yeah, they're not props. They're not part of your scene. Yeah, so that's all I can really think of. Just be as respectful as absolutely possible. Probably just very few people want to be filmed and want to be seen at an airport. So just as much as you can, don't film other people. I try not to just like start filming as people are walking down the aisles or anything like that either. Does it show when something is bought on the Lost, like, wedding registry? Oh, for Giftster. Yeah, so we've been using it now across all of our families for a couple of years. I think this might be our third year using it, and it's been super helpful because so Derek and I will make our lists, and if somebody has to actively mark it as either reserved, meaning they're going to buy it, or purchased. And so if like the people in your life are not responsible enough to do that, then there could be some issues that happen. But otherwise, if they mark it as purchased or mark it as reserved, then it shows up for everybody else that way. So it's really nice. Acts kind of like a wedding registry like that. Blaine says, yeah, I wouldn't film employees and passengers if I can avoid it. Yeah. And like we were saying before, we got a ton of feedback on our overseas travel vlog video that the audio wasn't great. And especially because you must be wearing a mask the entire time you are in transit. At the airport, everything like that. Even like regardless of where you are, it's not like just on the airplane or anything. Your audio quality is likely going to be affected. Ours was, and understandably so, but people on YouTube aren't always super understanding about that. But what our takeaway was, and what
use mics
is we are going to use an external microphone as much as possible. GoPros don't allow for those, so we need to work our way around that.
At least ours don't.
I don't think GoPros allow for external microphones, unless there's something that we don't know. So we're gonna figure it out. But between the mask wearing and the background noise and the lack of microphone, our footage wasn't the most ideal, but we're gonna hopefully be able to recognize that we can maybe put in like closed captions or something on our next one, so that way that'll eliminate anybody's issues with not being able to understand what we're saying, which we were trying to just describe what we were experiencing, so that way people could understand what travel was like, international travel was like in 2020, and we wouldn't want anybody to not know what we're saying. So the next one's going to be even better than the first. So we've kind of gotten through a lot of everybody's questions, but if there's more questions, or if we've missed anybody's questions, ask them again. Did you get more wood?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why
we really are like burning through wood.
I guess that's why they say burning through it.
Burning through it, yeah. Smells great though. I love the smell of a wood burning fireplace. Nick says, I'm actually checking out GoPro right now, and I see that they have directional mics you can add to them. Ooh. Nick, breaking news. Thank you. Maybe we'll ask for that from each other for Christmas. I don't know. That'd be good for us to add to our arsenal. If you guys have other questions too, just about travel, about holiday travel, we've traveled a lot at holidays. We have traveled, apart from last year when we hosted, we had traveled every holiday for 10 years straight. So we kind of know the jam, but we don't know the 2020 jam. We traveled like multiple times because we would travel to his parents' place, and then.
Well, we'd always fly to like Cincinnati and also like Arizona.
We've
stuff,
taken.
So there's a lot of flights.
Buses. We've taken planes. We've
overnight bused it.
I don't think we've taken trains, but we've probably driven. I don't know.
I've taken a.
We had to overnight bus it one time, or Derek did.
I had to overnight bus at home, so that was like my most challenging like travel that I've done, which was we were traveling. This was right when I graduated from college, so this was like the Christmas of 2010, 2011, I guess. 2010, I guess it would have been. Christmas 2010. And she was in Chicago, I was in New York. I went out to see my folks in Cincinnati, and a massive blizzard hit, like the Midwest and everything, and all the airports were shut. And when I went, and I was like, when can I get to New York? Like, when can I get back home? And they're like, ooh, that's not going to be till like January 11th. And I'm like, what? Because at that point, that was like the 27th or something like that. I'm like, it's going to take that long to get me back to New York? That's insane. So what I ended up doing was...
I could walk faster.
And the biggest issue, yeah, maybe. The biggest issue was that her flight from Chicago to New York was not canceled. Okay. So she was still coming out for New Year's to visit me. So I was like, crap, she's going to be like stranded there. I'm not going to be there. And also, I can't miss that much work. That's insane. Yeah. So what I ended up doing was finding...
Like before people had Zoom.
I found the Chinatown bus. Yeah. It's called Pegasus Bus Line. I don't know if it's still operational. But they basically pick people up from Chinese buffets and sushi restaurants all over the Midwest.
This is accurate.
And take them to Chinatown in New York. And vice versa. They will pick you up in Chinatown, New York, and they'll drop you off at Chinese buffets and sushi restaurants throughout the Midwest.
This happens. Just so you know.
So we're in the middle of a blizzard, and we...
Bye, Paul.
I buy my tickets, and it's basically it's a 10... Oh, God,
okay.
Paul, you're
in the middle of the story, but we gotta do it. Boop. Bloop. Bloop. Yay! I think we're better on the other side. Yeah. We'll reverse next week. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for the super chat. That's really, really nice of you. And just because, too, we didn't even have a question to ask us. That's awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, so the long and the short of it is, it's a 10 p.m. departure. You get in at 10 a.m. It's a 12-hour bus ride. What ended up happening, though, is because of the blizzard coming through, the bus was, like, super slow, so it was, like, stuck in Dayton, Ohio. And instead, at this Chinese buffet in Cincinnati, two big white vans pull up, and these guys get out. They don't speak very good English, and they're like, "Get in van." And I'm like, "What? I thought this was like a coach bus." And everybody else with me was also kind of like, "What's happening?" And it felt like everybody there was like a student or something who had to get back to NYU or something. And, like, they were all there with their parents. And everybody was kind of looking at this like, this is the sketchiest thing ever. But there was, like, that one pair of parents that were like, "Get on the bus before you lose your spot. Hurry up." And so then it was, like, a mad rush to make sure we all got our seats.
And his parents were, like, taking pictures of the license plate.
My parents were, like, taking pictures of the license plate just in case I never showed up in New York or something. And, that was quite the experience.
You said one girl was crying.
Well, we stopped at a Chinese / sushi restaurant, and this guy it looked like a guy was putting his girlfriend on the bus, and she was just like bawling, and I was just like, yeah, that's how I feel too. But we made it.
The van met up with the coach bus at a different city.
We actually did this as a round trip because we ended up almost getting stuck in New York during a hurricane, and we ended up taking a bus out before the bridges got closed.
Yeah.
So
I've done this
too. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
she did it going there. I've done it both.
I didn't have the van experience though.
She didn't have a van.
Nick says that's when I'd rent a car. So Derek was under 25 at the time, which if you're under 25 in the U.S., it would have been extremely expensive. And on top of that, you just spilled all your beer. I believe there was issues with rental car availability as well, because it was like Christmas, and everybody rents cars at Christmas. So, yeah.
You got to rent your car by Christmas.
By Christmas.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, no, that wasn't a great option for me. But yeah.
Yeah. So, we've had some nifty travel experiences. That's for sure. Even within, the U.S. You not like that one? Is that the zero alcohol one?
It's just like, why? What's the point?
Okay, show everybody what you accidentally bought. You accidentally bought this at the
I thought I was buying a Doom Bar Amber Ale. I didn't see the zero until we got back to our hotel, and I saw the big 0.0% alcohol, and I was like, I just tried it. It's not good, guys. Don't waste your time with this.
Lori Sims says nasty.
Yeah, it's not good, Lori. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just pour it.
That'd be my beer, says Purdue. Maybe if he had started with the zero?
No. It's like a bad soda.
Nick says you probably wish it was a Guinness. Yeah.
I wish it was a Guinness.
Yeah, he does.
And
he
actually,
definitely does.
Nick, just because of that, I'm gonna have the porter.
0% alcohol beer, all the bloat, but none of the fun.
I
don't drink beer, so.
See, my whole thing was, I was like, guys, like, this is gonna be great, because I'm going to drink this and not get wasted tonight.
Yeah, you were like, I'm gonna only
This will be
have...
how I pace myself.
Yeah.
Nope.
Sorry, babe.
I should be the one saying sorry to you.
Yeah, you should.
You just
poured out. You just poured money down a drain. Good beer money went down the drain. Lou says, Derek, what do you do job-wise that has you travel for business so much, and can you work remotely? So Derek works in finance, and he worked in like auto, at like an international level. So he would work on like mergers and acquisitions within the automotive space.
Travel got really shut down, right?
Yeah.
So everything's pretty much remote at this point. You know, some people go into the office, but you don't have to. Yeah, so in 2019, I went around the world 3.5 times for work. Work and for, you know, our non-work stuff. Like, we went to China for fun last year in 2019.
Yep. Yeah, so, yeah, he's not going to be traveling for business anytime soon.
No, because any business that's happening right now is all kind of being done via Zoom and calls, etc. So there's not a lot of you know, work travel happening still. At least not until a vaccine really comes out.
Mary Ellen says she's still drinking coffee, but she has a Magners for later.
Cheers!
Nice. I'm drinking Thatcher's Gold Cider.
I'm having a Skye Black.
We had coffee up until like 3 p.m. too, so I don't know if it shows. I feel like my energy level's pretty good today.
Pinky up.
But yeah, coffee's a good one. There's a French press at this Airbnb too. We found that there's the Airbnbs in...
Tend to have French press, yeah.
Oh, Bonnie. Thank you. What's for dinner tonight? Yay! Thank you so much, Bonnie.
See, it's so weird because I just want to go from the left over
I know,
to the right.
that one was the opposite direction. We're sitting on opposite sides tonight.
Feels so wrong.
So wrong.
So wrong, you can't be right.
What's for dinner tonight? We made some barbecue chicken last night that we could eat as leftovers, or I also have
shrimp
pasta to make with vegetables.
Those are the most likely things.
Yeah, those are the two things we have as options.
Or Chinese delivery.
Yeah. So,
probably not that.
You know, vote in the chat. What do you think we should have? Then shrimp, prawns. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
They actually are prawns. They actually are not apparently shrimp. Somebody commented on my YouTube video that shrimp and prawns are different species or something. When we talked about it, and so they're not synonyms, I guess. And I had it wrong the whole time. What are you looking at? Oh yeah, so I was gonna say before, at Airbnbs in the UK, there's French presses and then there's electric kettles. So your either option for coffee is to get coffee and make it in the French press way, and a lot of people don't really know how to do that who don't have one at home. We had to learn as soon as we got one at home a couple years ago, or you have to buy instant coffee, which, you know, instant coffee here doesn't taste as bad as the ones I feel like in the US does, but it's still, the French press is a little bit tastier.
Do we say bye to Paul Tipton?
I did.
Oh, bye, Paul.
I said bye,
Sorry,
Paul
I missed
Tipton.
you. Mark Smith, my favorite train ride was narrow gauge line at Kamakura in Japan.
Cool.
Nice, that'd be really cool.
So Derek got to go to Japan for work, and I've never been still, and that was like one of the places we were considering for 2020. And I don't even know if we're going to be able to go in 2021. I feel like Japan would be like the last country on earth to let Americans in.
I don't know.
They seem like the kind of, it would be like, no, you guys, we're gonna hold off.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is definitely high on my list. Asia generally, I mean, we've done China. I mean, I haven't done Japan. I've been to Japan, but I haven't done Japan. And I think I've done Singapore at this point. I spent like a week there for work, so that's quite a bit of time.
But I want to go to Singapore. So.
But I want to go with her and also actually
go
there for fun and see friends. We have a friend actually. We have 2 friends that live out there, so it'd be great to go see them.
It's tricky.
Actually, I've got more than 2 friends that live out there.
In regular times, in the before times.
Back in the olden times.
Pre-March 2020. I used to fly standby a lot, and I would try to join Derek on his business trips via standby that I had access to through my best friend. And Singapore used to be an option in that way and no longer is. And so I highly regret not going when it was an option because they stopped the flight to Singapore on that airline last September. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything cheaply to Singapore anytime soon.
Yeah.
Mark Finley, welcome! He's home from church.
What's up, Mark?
How's everyone doing this fine day? We are doing
fantastic.
Great. Derek has a fire going in our wood-burning stove here on the Isle of Skye for Mark and anybody else who just joined.
All right, so we do have a question, though. Nick Barnett says, speaking of Chinese delivery, how would you compare the Chinese food in the UK to that in the US?
That's a really good question.
I didn't have Chinese food any times I've been in the UK, so I don't know.
That's a really good question.
Similar,
they don't have
actually.
as many dumplings, and
Every
time
true.
I'm very upset about it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't even know if... Okay, so we went to Red Farm.
Which is like a dim sum place.
Yeah, which has a lot of dim sum. And if you go to a place that serves dim sum, then you will get dumplings. But the Chinese takeaway places, that you will find in the small towns and stuff throughout the UK, do not have dumplings. Or whatever you would call...
Dumplings?
Yeah, they don't have dim sum, they don't have those things. That's what they're called in Chinese.
Or at least they don't
menus,
tend to.
correct?
Yeah, so they don't
They'll
tend
have
to.
maybe an egg roll, but the general... Stop.
Sorry, that's me.
The general appetizers that you'll find are skewered
Like
meat.
chicken satay
Yeah.
and stuff like that, yeah. Spare ribs, they tend to have a lot of spare ribs, which are actually really tasty, and the Peking sauce is really good.
There's
We've
also...
done that.
Derek always asks for chopsticks, and there's only been
some do, some
one
don't.
place... Only one place had it. We've probably
We've only
gotten...
gone to 2, so one
No,
out of
we've
2.
gone to more than 2. We went to 2 in Scotland.
Okay.
And then we went to 1 in England.
I don't remember. But regardless, flavor-wise, it's similar. It might be slightly less salt, actually, here in the UK.
I got
But
chicken and
otherwise,
black
it's pretty
bean sauce,
similar.
and it was very different.
Yeah.
But then we got kung
Kung
pao
pao
chicken,
chicken.
and it was
Similar.
very similar. So
And it depends, right? That some places you go to, you get like a kung pao chicken and it's breaded. It's like a fried and breaded chicken with the sauce. Other places it's just the chicken with the sauce. So I mean, it depends on the place you go to, right? Just like any Chinese place in the United States is very different depending on where you go to.
the
Are you
chow
going to
mein
high end? Or are you
has
going
been
to
the same.
Chow mein's similar, I think, between the two.
Yeah. So
You're definitely not going to find crab rangoons, I don't think, here. I haven't seen them. Otherwise, I would have ordered them because I love crab rangoons. And the Thai food. So Mark Smith says any Thai food. We've had Thai food and we've had decent Thai food.
we had decent Thai food in Inverness, and I would recommend that place. And there's certain restaurants that will maybe combine Thai and Chinese here. And I wouldn't steer away from them for that reason. I would actually try it. We had really good Thai food in, probably the best was in the Lake District. We had a very kind of high-end Thai restaurant meal. And that was excellent in Ambleside.
Yeah. So lo mein, lo mein's fine here. Sesame chicken, they don't have that here. Not that I've seen.
They have sweet and sour.
They have sweet and sour. They've got kung po. They've got a number of other black.
Oftentimes they'll have chicken or they'll have a black bean sauce, but not always.
I will say though, their spare ribs is probably the appetizers I've liked the most of things. Those are pretty good.
They got to get on the dumpling train.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I always order dumplings at Chinese takeaways in the U.S.
Yeah. I will say it's much better than the Chinese that we had in Rome. We had Chinese just outside of the, oh God, what's that area?
I don't know. It was in the center of Rome.
It's near the Colosseum. So it was like near the Colosseum. I think it was in the Roman Forum. It was just outside the Roman Forum, and we had Chinese food, and it looked super fancy from the outside, like polished wood. And we walked inside. We ordered like what we thought was like our normal thing. It was just like,
yeah. There's Indian takeaway in a lot of places too.
Indian food's super good.
Yeah. And that's usually even like in Ullapool, Scotland, there was a Chinese takeaway and an Indian takeaway. So as long as the city is large enough and has enough tourists, you're definitely gonna find an Indian food place. Derek likes Indian food a lot more than I do because
one of my best friends growing up is Indian. So
yeah, but
reminds me of like
I tend to try to I'll eat Asian food when I feel like avoiding dairy.
Indian food has a lot of
Indian food
stuff,
has a lot of dairy. Not all, but it's harder to navigate a menu if you want to be dairy free. So that's why I don't eat it as much as Derek does.
And I love it. Yeah, kebab and shawarma. So kebab is super good in Europe. Doner kebab is like it's one of my favorite things. I haven't had it in ages, but like I remember when I was studying abroad in Spain, and the first time I ever had doner kebab was in Granada, like outside the Alhambra or something like that, and it was freaking awesome. And ever since then, I was like hooked. And I remember we were, after that, we went to Paris together in college. And I'm like, oh, we're getting doner kebab. It's going to be awesome. And she was like, ew.
No, I wasn't like, ew.
She was way less enthusiastic.
Yeah, because I hadn't really had it before.
Because it's so good and greasy and yummy.
Yeah, it is really greasy.
It's so good. It's like lamb and it's on a spit that turns around.
Yeah, it's a good late night food.
It's really good. So.
Mark says he had good Japanese in Milan, although they were Korean. We actually had sushi in Milan.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was the same place as you went, because I don't know if it was Korean or not. But yeah, it's fun when it's funny when you find like those restaurants that are a little bit of everything. There's a place here in where are we, in Oban, where we're going to next, that we were just looking at the menu today, called Spice World.
Spice up your life.
Yeah, shout out to the Spice Girls. But the restaurant was called Spice World, and it had like Chinese, Indian,
and
Thai, and something else. I think Mongolian, all on the same menu. So yeah, you'll find that a lot of places.
Now, what I will say though about the Milan thing and us having sushi there was that by the time we got to Milan, we were so over Italian food at that point, because we had been in kind of like this one region of Italy we were on a 10-day vacation basically, and most of it was spent in Piedmont. We did a little bit of time in like Turin, and then Milan, and by the time we were done, it's like you can only have pizza and like tagliatelle funghi so many times before you're like tapping out. Like
little variety.
We were in Lake Como. This was right before we made it to Milan, but we were in Lake Como, and all of us were like just so tapped out of Italian food at that point that we actually ate McDonald's in Como.
So embarrassing.
We're just like, I don't care. It just sounded good.
Yeah,
like,
we're just like, cheeseburger?
Cheeseburger and fries? Like, yeah, sign me up. So, like, we did. And again, I love local. I love eating local.
We love Italian food.
At that point, like, I had never had, like, heartburn before. I was getting, like, some heartburn. I was like,
it might have been, too, because we lived in New York, which also has Italian, like, really good Italian food. So it wasn't like we felt that we had to eat it there because we couldn't get good Italian food at home. Yeah. I don't know. All of the times I've kind of tapped out after a while.
The food was super good. But again, all these places, we were in very small towns and stuff, and they all had like very limited menus. Mm-hmm. So you're literally eating kind of like the same variation every single time.
And Purdue, I understand the pizza for a month straight comment, and that's funny. But like, in Piedmont, I don't think pizza was on every menu. It
wasn't on every menu.
Tagliatelle al funghi. It was
there's definitely some like
the prosciutto
steaks.
I remember every menu had the same appetizer, and it was prosciutto with cantaloupe, which I'd never seen before, never had before, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But after a while, you're like, can I have a different appetizer?
Well, it's like because they are cooking seasonal things, right?
Yeah.
We were there during like mushroom season, so like fungi was like on everything, and it was and it was awesome. The first like 5 times I had it,
quality of food was amazing.
Oh yeah, the first 5 times I had it, I was like, this is awesome. And then by like the 10th, I was like, do something else.
Yeah.
But pizza every day for a month would be a little much, unless it's Papa John's. I do like me a good Papa John's. I can do that.
That's the kind of thing where we've never done an Airbnb in Italy where we get to cook for ourselves, and I feel like that would be fun because then you could go out to restaurants, but then you could also like that was the thing was like when you're doing lunch and dinner, it just becomes a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
Chris Frank says our last night of 10 days in Italy, we went to Rome's Hard Rock.
Plus, wait for it.
Yeah, so you feel
gelato every meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Gelato, I feel like that's a thing that I could have every day and be happy.
And if anybody's looking for an awesome gelato place, go to Florence and go to the Gelateria Carraia, which is right by the Ponte Carraia, which is like 2 bridges down from the Ponte Vecchio, and it is awesome.
Get the cookies gelato.
Cookies gelato. Delicious.
So good.
It makes me want to change the lyrics. It's like, when the moon hits your eye like a big gelato pie. It's so good.
Big gelato pie. Oh, Eric Brown, thank you so
Eric
much.
B.
Oh, I didn't even know you were on. Yay! Thank you.
All right, we're on different locations, Eric B, so it feels very weird for us right now.
Yeah, we're doing,
because I feel like I should be going
backwards. Yeah.
In fact, I should be going.
Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I know I'm catching you all on the tail end, but I've been sick all weekend.
Oh no.
We hope you're doing better and getting on the mend. But yeah, we're doing well. And we're just glad that you were able to join. So thank you. And thanks for the super chat.
Yes.
We were just talking about Italy. And the food is good.
Italy
but
is
there's
great.
And the
wine is phenomenal. Like, talk about going to a place and you get like the wine of the house or whatever, like Vinda Casa or whatever it's called, and like it is freaking awesome, and it's like €5 for a carafe.
So there's a couple things I'm skipping because I just want to answer this question. Mary Ellen says, is gelato dairy free?
No.
It is not. So when I go to Italy, I always bring my lactate pills, but for some reason, everyone can speculate. But I don't know the scientific reason. When I'm in Europe, generally, and especially in Italy, dairy affects me less in Europe than it does in the U.S. I don't know why. But like, for example, Derek and I had some like camembert on bread last night, and I didn't really have a reaction, and I didn't take a pill. So I don't know. It's the mystery of life, really, for me. But I always come prepared anyway, especially no matter what. If I eat cream, I still get affected, but like cheese and ice cream isn't as bad for me in Europe as it is back home. And gelato is delicious. It like, oh, so worth the pill. Like, it's so good. And Mark Smith, you're right. Pistachio gelato is good. I like, because when you go to a gelateria in Italy, and even if you go to some of the ones in like New York City, or in Amarino, they have in several cities now in the U.S., you can get a ton of different flavors kind of like mixed together in one cone. And so you can get like a pistachio and stuff mixed with a sorbet, mixed with like a chocolate. That can be really, really good. Sorbet is dairy free. And almost every gelateria, if you are like allergic to dairy or just really don't want to go down that path, almost every gelateria has sorbet options, and they can have really good sorbet options too. My favorites that I have had are the ones that aren't necessarily regularly available in the States. So like I try not to do like the mango or the lemon or the raspberry just because like those are ones I could buy at the store in the States. I'll try to do like I've had grapefruit sorbet. I've had melon sorbet, especially like if it's a honeydew melon. Cantaloupe has been good too, but like a honeydew melon sorbet. Oh, that was so good. So if you can find like those kind of more obscure flavors, definitely give those a try too.
Can we stop talking about gelato?
You're getting hungry?
Now I want gelato sorbet.
Well, I'm waiting for you to get back so you can talk about the other things that people are talking about.
Okay, sorry. Fire is almost dying again.
Yeah, Derek's tending the fire again, so we can stay warm. Mark Smith says, my favorite Milan food was a tuna calzone. Did we have calzones in Milan?
Nope.
I don't think we did. I don't know if I would have gone for that either, so I'm glad you recommended it because that's not something I would have necessarily chosen. I'm not the biggest tuna person, but Derek likes tuna, so I think we would split it. Nick says, although much of the Italian food in New York and elsewhere in the U.S. is typically more southern Italian food, northern Italy is a little bit different. Yes, that is correct. And my understanding is because most of the immigrants from Italy to the U.S. were from southern Italy, for the most part. It's not a blanket statement, but it's true for a lot of Italian American families. So a lot of the food and food culture in the U.S. is Southern Italian. So
like Olive Garden?
Like for example, Derek's Italian family, you guys were all from Naples, correct? Ish, around. Yeah. And immigrated from Naples, I believe.
Yep.
On the ship.
On a ship, yes.
On a ship. But yeah, so when we were in northern Italy, in the Piedmont region, and in Milan, and in Lake Como, the stuff on the menu is different than what we are used to seeing in the U.S. Mary Ellen says she hasn't had pizza in about 9 months. Oh my gosh! That's actually...
tonight.
We made... Sorry, that's Derek crumpling up the newspapers for the fire. We made tortilla pizzas a lot in quarantine, so, 'cause they're kind of easy to do, and just felt like decadent without all of the calories of like ordering a Papa John's or something. Chris Frank says, oh no, I already read that one, sorry. Sorry, I skipped around a lot and then I get lost. Purdue says, when I lived in Chicago, we always had par-baked Gino's East in the fridge. Yeah. Oh, Gino's East is so good, but I can only eat one slice at a time. I mean, it's the deep dish, like super heavy stuff. Somebody who used to work for me, her family owned Gino's East, and I kept being like, can you help me cut the line? Because, I mean, when you go to Gino's East, like, don't go starving, because typically in normal times, you have to wait for a while to get seated. Yeah, Lori Sims says to Eric to get better soon. Yeah, we all hope Eric feels better soon. Oh, being sick, especially...
Fire's going!
Especially this time of year is no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire is going. I can smell it. It's got that good fire smell.
Okay, so... Pistachio's good. Yes, I like pistachio. Pistachio is also a great flavor for macaroons. Macaroon.
Purdue has the same issue as me, that in the U.S., Grater's ice cream is the only one he doesn't get sick from, yeah.
Grater's is good. That's a Cincinnati tradition right there.
It's Ohio. Is it Ohio. Cincinnati?
I think it's Cincinnati.
Might be.
I feel like everybody from Cincinnati loves Grater's,
yeah.
So I assume it's them.
It's
I'm not actually from Cincinnati,
Isn't
but
Jenny's ice cream also from Ohio?
No idea.
I think Ohio's like...
What's up, Thomas Reiser?
Thomas, he's back. Mike Martinez is here.
What up, Mike?
Welcome. Lori Sims says, I have no tummy problems in Europe, but I come home and I do. Yeah.
Well,
what's
it's the same with
deal,
wine, right?
guys?
It's like sulfites, you know,
yeah.
in the wine in the U.S. versus in Europe. Less of a hangover. It's nice.
Yeah, can we just bring all the European food to America, please? That would be awesome because it tastes good. Mary Ellen says, I, for the most part, have cut out animal products. That's
It's
commendable.
admirable.
Yeah. And meat pizza is pretty good. So that might explain why you haven't had pizza in a while. Oh yeah, cheese of course too. But you can. Okay, so you can get Daiya cheese at the grocery store.
It's okay.
The Daiya mozzarella is pretty good in my opinion, and that's a vegan option, and so you could make your own pizzas with that.
Yeah, it's okay.
They actually sell Daiya frozen pizzas too. If you haven't had pizza in a while, you're gonna think it's great. No, but I think it is good. I eat it without complaint.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're only saying that because you're comparing it to like shredded
Pizza?
cheese. Yeah.
What it's supposed to be. Nick Barnett's, I know hearing about gelato is torture when I don't have a nice big waffle cone in my hand right now. Yeah, so the other thing is that there is a real ice cream culture here in the UK, especially down in Cornwall. Cornwall, it's huge. We did not know this before we told people that we were going to Cornwall, and they're like, the ice cream, it's so good. And there is an ice cream place right out of Tintagel Castle. Tintagel. That castle where King Arthur might have conceived or born or something. There's an ice cream place in that town that is spectacular. And we both had the Millionaire Shortbread ice cream, and it was awesome.
It was otherworldly.
It was like on the level of like cookies gelato in Florence.
Yeah, it was so good. It's gonna be in our
highly recommend it.
Eventual.
It'll be on our video
vlog.
from it, but it's in my stories if you go to my Instagram from Cornwall. That I even say is like best ice cream ever. It was so good.
It was so good. Yeah. So. That's all.
It was a tuna steak.
So Purdue, you're kind of in my camp, I think, with that blackfin or yellowfin tuna only for you. Yeah, because don't if you guys like to eat tuna regularly, don't over research it on the internet. Just like don't go down that rabbit hole of like learning about tuna. I made that mistake.
Eliz got sushi rolls here, as from like a Tesco, and it came with 2 tuna rolls. And it was funny because it was like cooked tuna, so it almost looked like canned tuna.
It might have been canned
was
tuna.
put into this roll.
Yeah.
And Eliz is like, here, you eat this. I was like, okay, yeah. So I ate it.
The fact that I even got sushi from Tesco was not something I wanted to share with the community. But yeah, I did that once. It was fine. I didn't get sick, but I'm not a big proponent of Tesco sushi. Yeah, Mark Smith says it was tuna steak, not out of a can, when he did the tuna calzone. So that sounds good.
So, Nick Barnett is talking about how in Queens, everybody he knew was from like Naples or Sicily, and incidentally, a lot of the Greeks in the U.S. are also from the south of Greece, and he's one of the few Northern Greeks from the Greek diaspora here.
Huh.
Northern Greece. So, like, are we talking like Macedonia type area, or are we talking south of that? I'm kind of curious.
We don't know. Nick will have to fill us in.
Haha! Purdue. Yes. Cincy. Also wearing Indy.
Yeah. And Thomas is back.
Thank you.
And Jenny's is Columbus. Yeah, so...
Macedonia. Or Macedonia, depending on how you want to spell it.
Nice.
And pronounce it. Because there's not a soft C in Greek.
So now
right?
I'm
like
looking forward to hopefully trying more Grater's ice cream. I don't feel like I've had it that much, but hopefully I don't react as in the same regard.
Thessaloniki. Nice. That's really cool.
Nice.
I really want to go to Greece. I've never been to Greece.
Yeah, we want to go so badly.
High on the list.
I feel like between Nick Barnett's and Jocelyn Walters, we'll have our tour.
Well, now I know because of Jocelyn, you get to drive kind of on the shoulder, which I would not have been prepared for. So now I think I'm ready for a road trip.
You don't, because you'll get a flat tire.
Now I think I'm ready for a road trip in Greece.
You don't get to drive on the shoulder.
This is me flicking you off. But yeah, no, definitely.
Macedonia, yeah. You pronounced it right. Nick's proud of you.
Macedonia. There you go.
Mark Smith says, have had Sushi from Sam's, but not my favorite. Yeah, I've had sushi from questionable places. I've never gotten sick from sushi, but I also never eat the tuna sushi when I get it from questionable places. I had a friend who did get like sick from eating kind of like cheap tuna sushi, and apparently that's the biggest culprit. So yeah, be careful out there in the sushi world. Know your stuff. Mark Smith, I don't know how to pronounce that word. You say Gorilla Islands or something like that. I don't know. That's a lot of consonants and not a lot of vowels. I don't know that one. Lori says tilapia is a bottom feeder I used to fish as a child in the river bed and next to. Yeah. I've heard that about tilapia too. I do like the flavor, and I like that. It's an affordable fish option, but we wouldn't eat it a lot, and it can like take in a lot of things from the waters that it swims in. Chris says not a fan of tuna. Yeah. Wow, it sounds like a lot of you guys feel similarly to me about tuna, which usually I feel like I'm the only person. So
y'all weird.
We're all in the same camp on this one. Yeah. Just be careful out there with your tuna. If you're at a really, really nice sushi restaurant, like I would certainly eat it. But tuna has a lot of different types. Nick says, I like it, but I don't have it very often, yeah. And that's another thing, too. I know somebody, or Derek knows somebody whose roommate got mercury poisoning from eating tuna tartare 3 days in a row.
Not 3 days in a row. They were eating it like 3 days a week for months.
Oh, 3 days a week? Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Oh, I thought it was more. I thought it was less than that. But yeah, that's... Yeah,
no, they worked in the type of industry where they were entertaining a lot. Yeah. So they were always going out to lunch with an expense account. And so in order to not gain a ton of weight, they would order a lot of like tuna tartare and stuff like that, like leaner. I guess it's not super lean, but like less caloric than like a steak every meal. So that was definitely something not to do.
Yeah. So.
And Purdue has never gotten pizza poisoning.
Never gotten pizza poisoning.
Just pizza. All day. That should be pizza's new slogan. Nobody's ever gotten pizza poisoning.
So I'm sure somebody has gotten sick from pizza before. You can eat like really old pizza and get sick.
But that's not the pizza's fault. That's user error.
This has become like a weird.
We've gone down a weird rabbit hole, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Except travel through food.
This is kind of travel through food. This is like what not to do.
I don't know if you guys are hearing the like snaps and crackles and stuff, but the fire's going again.
Yeah. Guys. So Thomas, you weren't here when I said earlier that there is definitely people in the Midwest who don't eat fish when we were talking about fish and chips before. So that's you raising your hand on that one.
What?
He says he doesn't eat fish.
When I first met her.
Yeah, I didn't eat fish.
When I met her, she used to say, if it swims in the sea, it doesn't go in me.
Yeah.
As her like little cute thing to say when she wouldn't eat fish or sushi.
Yeah, but now I eat all those things.
Now I've created a monster.
Now I eat the things.
Now she's like on a genocidal mission against fish. She wants to eat them all.
Oh.
I don't know.
That got really
dark. That got dark. Yeah. Sorry, guys. She likes sushi. What can I say?
Please don't think of me like that. Those descriptor words were inaccurate.
Sushi's really good, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of food poisoning, did you guys ever get it while traveling? Nick Barnett's, yes.
So,
on our honeymoon, I did.
I hope you guys actually want to know the answer to this. Yeah, Derek did on our honeymoon.
Ooh, she did before
Derek,
our honeymoon.
you also got it in Italy. Didn't you get it? You got it when we were in Lake Como.
It wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't food poisoning?
It wasn't like food poisoning.
Okay,
no.
But you had to like.
I just had like indigestion. I just had like it hurt. It wasn't like food poisoning. I wasn't like getting sick.
But yeah, you did get sick in.
But I got sick in Mendoza, in Argentina.
So
after a crazy wine tour.
Yeah. Before, okay. before I was lactose intolerant, when Derek and I both studied abroad at the same time when we were 21. 21. I was flying to go meet him, but I interned the same time I studied abroad. And so on the day that I interned, I was supposed to leave work and go to Stansted Airport to fly to Sevilla to meet up with Derek. For lunch that day, I went to M&S and got
Marks and
Spencer's like food hall thing, and got, God, what is it? It's like a cream of chicken soup is what it's called. So it's like a cream-based soup. Oh, so delicious. It tasted great. Then I leave work, I get on the train to go to Stansted, and halfway to Stansted, I start getting very sick. So we get to Stansted, and as any of you guys had know, Stansted is like 2 hours from London. It is not close, and it's certainly not close from where I lived. So I get to Stansted, and I am sick. And it was like a 2.5 hour train ride home, or I get on the airplane.
And it was less than a 2.5 hour flight.
Yes, to Sevilla. And the airplane had a bathroom. The train did not. So, airplane it was, and I was sick the entire Ryanair flight, and that was miserable. So
then she landed and she recovered by the next day because it was food poisoning. It wasn't something worse than that.
Yeah,
so
had a great time in Sevilla.
Yeah.
Sevilla's great. Yeah. Sorry, Ryanair. I basically, I think.
Sorry, Ryanair.
You're not supposed to be in the bathroom during landing.
She got locked in.
Or else you have to stay in the bathroom. Like, you're not allowed to, like, go back to your seat. And so that happened. Like, I was in the bathroom during landing. That was the only time I've ever done that. Brutal. Yeah, so that's when I had food poisoning.
I agree with Eric B. Sounds brutal.
Yeah, it was.
But, yeah, no, I got sick. I got sick after we did, like, a tour that did like wine tasting and all this stuff. We went to a bunch of different vineyards, and then at the last vineyard it also ended with like a 5-course meal or something like that, and I got sick after that. And I think it must have been the dessert, because that's the only thing that she didn't have, and I actually had hers because it was kind of cream based, and so I assume it must have been that got me at the end. And the next day I was out for the whole day.
Yeah, so if you can avoid having cream when you travel, that's probably the takeaway from these stories.
Yeah, but they call it different things depending on where you're going. If you're in India, they call it Delhi belly. If you're in South America, Montezuma's revenge, and all these different things. But like
I think that's Mexico. But yeah,
that's in Mexico. And it's definitely, it can really like knock you out. And so like that's why a lot of people, and I recommend this, is you go to your doctor, and a lot of them will actually give you a prescription for a very, very strong antibiotic, which you can take if you have extreme food poisoning. I've never taken it. I actually still have the pill that I bring with me everywhere I go, basically. But I've never had extreme enough food poisoning in the last multiple days that requires you to take it, because the problem is if you take an antibiotic with food poisoning is it kills a lot of bacteria in your gut, which will make recovery from food poisoning actually worse and slower. You should only use in like extreme circumstances. But if you're going to a place like China, India, etc., it might be worth getting and taking just as a precaution, so that if you need it, you have it, which we did before we went to China, and I've carried it with me ever since.
Yeah.
Now, I did get sick one time. I got food poisoning I was going to Germany for work last year. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing more miserable than being in a car with your bosses and a driver, and the driver doesn't speak English, and you feel food poisoning coming on. It's the most horrifying, terrible experience that you could have, and I've lived through it, so you don't have to. Don't do that. It was so bad.
I don't think it's like it only hits one person.
I had to tell one of my bosses who did speak German, and I was like, can you ask him to find a bathroom? And that's just not a good look, you know?
No.
It's not a good look.
Babe, that was a bad story when I had to hear it. He was miserable looking on that FaceTime after.
Oh, and then we checked into the hotel in Germany, and I got like the one dude from like who speaks Spanish, and so I'm being checked in by this guy from like the Dominican Republic, which is like
and then he
crazy.
recognizes Derek's last name.
Yeah, and then he recognizes my last name as Hispanic.
Derek speaks Spanish.
So we started speaking Spanish to each other, and he's checking me in Spanish, and he wants to have a whole conversation, and I'm like, dude, just point me to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm in so much.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys,
bad.
It's not just a food poisoning thing, but like sometimes you're just really tired and you arrive at a place and the people at the front desk are super friendly and nice and you're just like, can I please just go to my room? That has happened so many times to us. You're like, it's like, can we just come back after I've like had a nap and like redo this?
Can we meet at the bar later?
Yeah,
we can have like a whole discussion then. But, like, right now, not the time. But yeah, no, it's so good.
But yeah, so that was a long answer. The next question, Purdue says he's watching the season of The Crown. Some of our research, they said that the royals don't eat shellfish. That is interesting. We haven't watched this season. But yeah, I could see, because that's something that people can get sick from a lot.
Now, I did see that it came out today that the culture minister of the government is writing to Netflix to have them try to add to all of their episodes. This is a work of fiction.
Yeah.
Because they're concerned.
I keep wanting to lean backwards, and your hand is always
Because
there.
you know they're concerned that there will be a whole generation of people that didn't live through this more modern time, and think that is actually what happened, and they're kind of calling foul a little bit that they're playing a little fast and loose with some of the plot lines. Now I don't know how much of that's true. I don't know is this more actually accurate and they just don't like it because it's not pretty, or what's going on?
We're a bit behind in The Crown. So yeah, please don't spoil. I don't understand Mark Smith's question.
Where is it? See any rabbits yet in this hole?
Yeah, sorry. We don't know what you're asking.
I don't know, Mark.
Purdue says we got very sick from something he ate in Paris in 2018. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Paris has such great food too. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I love Paris. I love the food in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that's one of the shows that we're not catching up on purpose is Emily in Paris.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that.
We're gonna watch that when we get home. When we're missing Europe, we're gonna be like, let's just do something bite-sized that's like Europe-y, and that's gonna be our thing.
So we haven't finished Emily in Paris. Yeah. Everyone's talking about our stories. Mary Ellen says she got sick from something she ate in Honolulu and was miserable. Yeah, everybody, when you're a traveler, you
I mean, if you travel enough, you're gonna have this experience, right? It's just gonna happen, and it's just about understanding it and like knowing like this too shall pass, right? Yeah. Like it will end, and you can probably by the next day you're gonna feel better. Well, I will say,
if you are actually really ill and like you are, because like you should go to a hospital if you need to. That's the caveat.
But if it's just food poisoning, most likely you can get away with like brats, so like banana, rabbit. I don't know what that is.
Rice.
Banana, rice, applesauce, toast, brat. So follow the brat diet or something like that. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Those are the important things. So. Not rabbit.
Don't go to Derek for your
I was like, rabbit in a hole, maybe. I don't know.
No.
Mark, maybe Mark knows.
Yeah, so...
And brats, of course.
That's another good reason to bring instant oatmeal with you on your trips, too, is oatmeal is, pretty bland, and you can make it with your hot water heater in your hotel room. So... as I mentioned in Travel Tip Tuesday, just a good thing to have if you need it for breakfast, but also if you get sick, it's a good bland thing.
Nick Barnes wants to know if we were able to manage avoiding getting sick in China. From what I've heard, it's a challenge to not get bothered by anything. Yeah, no, we actually had no issues in China, did we?
I don't think... my stomach was a little upset just because it does
time changes and
get
everything.
That way sometimes, but... Not from anything that we ate in particular. It wasn't like a food poisoning thing. And the tap water, you don't want to have.
Don't do the tap water.
But you can brush your teeth with it. So like it's not.
Just don't swallow it.
Yeah, it's not like so bad that you just literally can't even put it into your mouth. But yeah, don't swallow it. So yeah, be careful.
But like everybody has like
we
the water
ate.
jugs in their home and stuff for like drinking water.
As long as you're staying at like a Western place,
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, I think that's one of the things about, you know, from what I read and research going there was that that's one of the reasons why in China they do super hot tea. Like they serve like boiling hot tea was because
They do.
They were trying to get they were trying to get the people to boil their water. And so they were trying to say that there's all these health benefits to having super hot tea, so that they made sure that people were like really boiling their water well, because there's a lot of health issues with drinking the water. And so that was a big thing around, I think, the turn of the century and stuff. That's kind of like ingrained itself into, you know, the population today, where they still drink like scalding hot tea. And that's why there's like a whole process to it, and like slurping to try to get like air into it, so you're not like burning the heck out of your mouth.
Yeah. And you will notice like the tea is served extremely hot there, and people drink it extremely hot, like they're used to it. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. We also had a friend who kind of showed us which places to eat at and like the food when we landed, so that kind of helped us navigate it a little bit more. Crown, definitely a Prince
Hit piece.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna watch it. We'll probably not watch it until the end of December, I'm gonna guess.
Ooh, Nick Barnett's one of the coolest Paris food things he's experienced is creme brulee presented on fire.
Nice.
I love desserts that are like lit on fire.
Yeah.
That's like the best.
One of
dessert.
our favorite Italian restaurants in Long Island City.
All right, if you're in New York and you want good Italian food that's not gonna break the bank too much, Il Falco in Long Island City, which is in Queens, is awesome. It's two chefs who came over from Il Molino in Manhattan, and these guys have a heck of a place. It's delicious, and they have a really good strawberry crepe dessert that they allowed on fire.
Yep.
It's awesome.
No clue if that's happening like in 2020, but if you order the strawberry crepe, that's just like tableside service.
Talk to Giovanni. Ask for his
They light it on fire. It's yummy.
his grappa.
Yeah. But yeah, El Falco is so good. Purdue says, sorry, backup procedures. Avis made us wait 3 hours when computers were down.
Wow.
Ugh, manual backup price, yeah.
Going down the rabbit hole. That's what Mark meant. There we go. Yeah, we go down the rabbit hole all the time on different things. Kind of depends what we're researching or what we're talking about. We could talk about things for ages. So Thomas Reiser says, I ended up in the A&E, which is like the emergency room, with chest pain in London in January. Sorry about that, Thomas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's gotta be scary. It's gotta be scary.
I hope everything turned out fine.
So Nick Barnett says, a lot of avoiding food troubles when traveling, unless you're especially vulnerable, is avoiding tap water and being very careful where meat or dairy products you consume come from. Yeah, and that's definitely a thing where, like, my grandfather, would talk about going to Mexico to visit family, and like you'd go to the butcher shop, and he's like, it's a very, very different level of like. And again, this is like back in like the 60s or 70s when he was going back there, but like. He'd go down in the butcher shop and be like, what do you want? And have like a carcass. And they'd like, it would probably be at room temperature for a pretty, until the carcass was gone.
Different
sort of thing.
Food standards.
Yeah, different food standards. And whatnot.
Yikes.
So you just have to be careful about that stuff.
And even like with, I think somebody mentioned this about like in India on the last trip when they went, they missed eating like salads and vegetables and stuff because, they would wash
wash
the
it in
things
water,
with the local water and stuff. So you just have to be careful with your stomach, especially if you have a weak stomach like I do.
Yeah, and somebody made the comment about, when you're traveling to places like fried foods might actually be one of the safer options to have because it's cooked at much higher temperatures, so it's going to kill a lot of the bacteria and all these other things.
That is true.
And that might be true. Like, you come to a place where you don't know about the water, like, have fried food, it's probably going to be okay.
That is true.
Might not be the healthiest, but it'll probably taste good.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Chris Franke says, I never had food poisoning while traveling, but I did develop a sinus infection flying back to St. Louis. Not fun landing. Yeah, when you're changing elevation and stuff, and that can even be when you're driving through like the mountains. If you have a sinus infection, that can wreak havoc and can be really unpleasant to do.
We were looking up, because your dad said he gets sinus infections a lot when he travels for work. We were looking up why that is, that people get it more, and I can't remember what it said. The internet had an answer for that.
So, Nick Barnett's, my old neighborhood Italian place in New York is Umberto's, which is out in Floral Park at the beginning of Long Island. But if you have to get out there, it is worth it. Amazing food. Nice.
One of my really good friends is from Floral Park. And we went to... Was that where her bridal shower was? It was at an Italian restaurant in Floral Park.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Kathy's bridal shower was there.
I didn't go.
But I'm sure there's multiple Italian restaurants in Floral Park, just based on what it sounds like that area is like. But yeah, I might have been there. I can't remember where it was.
Oh, you already read Mary Ellen's thing about salad and 3 weeks in India, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know she mentioned that last live stream, so I don't know if...
She's just missing.
Yeah.
So, Nick Barnett says, yeah, it cooks the hell out of whether might sicken you. Yeah, fried food. And
that's not something I really would have thought about, so I'm
good.
glad we all talked about this. Because I don't go towards fried food that much, but yeah, I'm sure it's probably one of the safest choices based on this explanation. Oh, Thomas, I'm sorry.
That plus flambe.
At the hospital. Oh, you do not want to get to the hospital when you're traveling. That is
no. And that's the other thing about traveling. You do this long enough, you're probably gonna have some experience like that. Knock on wood, you don't, and it's not serious or whatever. But it could be.
I know that the Walters always talk about that. All four of them have had to go to the hospital for different things.
And when you're traveling with kids, I imagine that it must be even more common that kids get bumps, bruises, scratches, and need stitches. So the likelihood goes up dramatically, I assume,
Probably.
if you're traveling with a kid. But
we always have to be careful.
we were staying with friends.
Derek burned his foot today.
I scalded my foot. I didn't have to go to the hospital though. I just ran under some cold water. Rubbed some dirt in it. I'm okay.
You did not.
No. It was funny though. It happened, and I scalded my foot. And I'm like, oh man. I was like, I've been playing with fire for the last 3 days. Who would have thought that I'd hurt myself cooking freaking pasta? I didn't. So
it was unlikely.
It was unlikely. Guys, when the pasta sticks to the bottom,
and he burned his foot through his sock too.
Yeah,
he wasn't barefoot.
It finally stopped hurting, but I see the mark.
Good.
I do still see the mark.
Apparently, the internet says you're not supposed to put butter on it, and it's an old wives' tale.
Don't put butter on it, guys. All right, so Purdue says, I also wonder if microwaves, even if not super high heat, would inherently kill baddies in food. I don't know about microwaves. I use them a lot, though.
I am not the person to ask, but I'm sure the internet could tell you a good answer on that one. But yeah, just cooking food, that usually helps. Anyway,
we've been on for 3 hours and 8 minutes.
Over 3 hours, because you guys are so fun to chat with. We always love chatting with you guys. We look forward to it every week.
But one of us needs to start cooking soon.
Yeah, we are getting hungry. It's 7:08 here. I think Derek's gonna have me cook, which is fine because you've had three beers. I haven't even finished my first cider, so I can cook. All right.
Wait. Kidding.
it's been super fun chatting with all of you guys. Hopefully we answered your travel questions well.
Purdue got their tree up during the chat.
Yay,
Holy cow.
Congrats.
Nice.
That's a fun activity.
Now, that was the one thing that I turned on our first Christmas music earlier today.
Yeah.
And she turned it off. So I'm just saying,
well,
Grinch.
No, I'm not a Grinch. I was trying to
She's trying to work
about and get work done.
But we might need to put on a Christmas movie now.
But I just want to say thanks to everybody. Yeah, we might need to put it on a Christmas movie. That sounds good. Thanks to everybody who has been on, especially the ones who have been on the whole time. But thank you to everybody who's joined. Lori Sims, Nick Barnett, Bonnie,
those who
Mary
gave us super
Ellen,
chats,
Purdue.
thank you so much. We really appreciate
yes.
you. We appreciate
Thomas
all you.
Reiser, thank you. But yes, all the Eric B. Hopefully you feel better. Thank you for the super chat. We just
wow, Chris Frank, great live stream. I have 2 of 3 trees up. You are a 3-tree household.
That is awesome.
That's intense. We were
bought,
a 2-tree household.
Oh my gosh, I want to show you guys once we get home what I bought, but they're all wrapped up right now. I got 2 Christmas ornaments here. One is a sheep playing the bagpipes. And the other one is a Harry Coo wearing like a necklace that has holly on it. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So I can't wait to hang those on our tree this year as a memory from this trip.
And again, Harry Coos are freaking adorable.
Yeah. Okay.
Really
so I put a poll in my Instagram story this week about
Shame 'em.
how cute I basically said like how cute are Highland cows, Harry Coos. And there were people out there who didn't say, well, okay. I think the question was, are Harry Coos adorable? And the options were, there were only 2 options. The options were either yes, exclamation points, or sorta. And the amount of people that chose sorta was like disheartening. And I'm including Derek's own brother. And we were like, you realize we're going to get your unborn son, a Harry Coo stuffed animal as a result of this answer. So that way, he loves them. If he's watching right now, he's going to be like, don't. But they are super cute. They are the cutest cow. Mark Walters even said it to me via DM today. So we're all in agreement in the travel community that the Highland cow is the best of the best cows. Anyway, that was my ramble about Harry Coos and how excited I am for my ornament. Hopefully you guys are still watching. If you are, press the like button if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't, because that way we can all hang out more. And Derek's going to say bye too, because he's here now with the thing. Thank you all for joining. Nick Barnett's, Chris Frank, Purdue, Lori Sims, Mary Ellen, all the folks who've been on this.
And Nick Barnett has bought a GoPro 9.
Awesome. Amazing. Hopefully you got a good Black Friday deal on that one too.
Ha! Purdue, I call them the golden retriever of cows.
I can't wait to see Nick Barnett's video footage on his GoPro 9. He's probably going to convince
his secret YouTube, possibly?
Yeah, secret YouTube.
Content?
We're going to subscribe to all that good stuff.
For good vibes. All right.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, have an awesome rest of your Sunday. See you next week, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye.
Cheers.